All right, guys, today we have a real special guest in the house. You probably recognize his voice if you're in New York or the tri-state area. He's contributed a lot to hip-hop radio. He may have sold you a house or a building or something too, you know. I'm talking about the one, the only hip-hop Mike.
My man. Whoa, what an applause. I love it, man. The sound effects slapping off rip. What's happening?
How you doing today, bro?
Great, man. I'm finally in my office. We got everything set up here. I'm in La Jolla, California, a block from the beach. And, you know, we opened up this office. I got an opportunity to run it with a couple of friends of mine and just getting set up, man.
Oh, you own it. You own it?
I don't own it. I'm not the owner. The owner is this guy, Adam Silber. But he has an office based in New York. He wanted to open up on the West Coast. And, you know, he trusted me and a couple of my friends to come out and, like, kind of spearhead the operation. So we're here. We hired a research girl this week. We're hiring a couple of brokers. And, yeah, man, if you're looking for a job in San Diego, holla at your boy. I'm saying.
Damn, man.
I'm hired.
Yo, that's crazy because I've been watching your stories, right? Because I've been seeing your move and everything. And I was like, damn, when I saw that view, I was like, yo, he living large now.
Oh, man. It looks a lot larger than I could afford, but I'm going to be out here. I'm going to do my best to make as much money as possible. And yeah, man, it's been an adventure. I've always wanted to live on the West Coast, but I never knew what was going to bring me here. So it's pretty dope that it was commercial real estate. I never saw that coming.
Bro, I've been watching like all your interviews, and for years I've been seeing you say, I'm thinking about moving out to LA.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about moving out to LA. So then like finally, and it makes sense that you chose La Jolla area, right? Because like I hear like the houses over there and then just in general, it's a real nice place.
Yeah, man. I didn't even know La Jolla existed. You know, I grew up in the hood in New York and like I wanted to go to LA because I used to go out there with Rosenberg all the time for like some events, and we would hang out with Amber Rose and Stone Cold and like all these crazy celebrities. And I'm like, oh, LA seems lit. And then I came to San Diego about a year ago with my boss, and he showed us his house out here. And, you know, I'm a more laid back guy. Like when I was younger, I was running around New York City like crazy, and I think I burnt out a bit. So the La Jolla vibe is a little more laid back, and it's definitely like more my style as I get a little older and try to be a little more polished and professional.
Right. I heard the vibe in San Diego is a lot different compared to LA.
It's a little slower, I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, LA's been getting wild, man. Like last time I was there, it was just pure chaos in LA.
Damn. So with my interviews, I like to do things in a chronological order so we can help the people understand who you are, where you came from, like on a deeper level to understand where you are today, right? So you were born in Queens, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in Flushing, kind of raised between like Jackson Heights and like West Hempstead and Long Island. You know, I would say I'm a Queens kid at heart, but I've moved around so much. I rep Brooklyn, I rep Long Island, and I guess La Jolla now, but yeah, man.
Look at you. You came from the grimy streets of New York. Now you over there. Yo. $10 coffees and shit.
Oh my God. No, I'm not paying. I have a Keurig. I make my coffees with the pods just like I did in New York, man.
Don't be lying. I saw your stories. You was with that Buzz coffee over there.
If you see me with that coffee, Adam Silber paid for it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If you see me with a fancy coffee, I didn't pay for that coffee. There's somebody else's name is on the cup for sure.
So how long did you live in Queens for?
So it's kind of strange because technically I'm from Long Island. Like my parents growing up, they had a house in Long Island and I went to school out there. But my grandma was in Jackson Heights. And as a kid, my mom would just like leave me with my grandma for like weeks and weeks at a time. So I'd say I was probably there until I was like 8, 9 years old or so. And then my grandma ended up moving out to Valley Stream, Long Island. And then I just kind of stayed out there. You know, I would go back and forth to Queens a lot. I had a lot of friends there, and I would like go down to Jamaica Ave, or I'd like go to Steinway in Astoria. And I had a job in Queens on the weekends at my cousin's hair salon. I was like sweeping the floors in Astoria. But yeah, I mean,
so that was the grassroots of you becoming the barber, right?
Yeah, kinda. So he does women's hair. My cousin does like really big celebrities. He has this salon called Redkin. And they do like really big celebrities with like extensions, with all that. And I got my barber license just because in New York, with a barber license, you could do women's hair. So the thing I was going to do was just like, oh, I'll go get my barber license and I'll work at the salon. And at the time I was living in Brooklyn, and I was taking the train back and forth to the salon in Queens, but I was getting my hair cut in Brooklyn. And when I got licensed, the guy at the barber shop I went to gave me a job. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to stick to doing barbering instead of like being a stylist, you know?
Oh, gotcha.
Girls are very picky with their hair.
Yeah, yeah. So you felt like Queens like kind of like resonated with you the most out of all the different places that you were experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, Queens was it, you know? I mean, I'm a product of like 50 Cent and Mobb Deep, and like, you know, I always was a fan of like music from Queens, Queens culture, the food, everything. And being in Astoria, like, you know, I was in Astoria years before it became like very, you know, how it is now. Like I was there was more like brick buildings and diners. There weren't any of these cafes. So it was just a different time. Like I worked at a bootleg CD spot in Astoria
Oh,
for a
before
while.
the gentrification, right?
Yeah, before it got very expensive. So I mean, when I was there as a kid, it was probably less than $1,000 a month rent. Now you probably can't find anything there for less than 4 or 5,000. You know?
It seems like that's happening everywhere, bro.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
but nah. I mean, I was there when there was parking on 30th Ave. Like now, you can't even find a spot.
So you're coming up in the 90s, is that right?
Well, I was born in 90. So, I mean, when I was a kid, my job at the salon, I was probably like 10, 11 years old. And I did that maybe to like 14. So, I mean, it was like early 2000s, I'd say.
Right.
But it's.
And are you growing up with any siblings at the time?
So I have a sister, but the thing is like my sister, she always kind of lived in Long Island with my mom. She wasn't really at my grandma's as much in Queens. I was the firstborn, so I think, you know, there was an adjustment there. I think by the time she came around, they were like kind of more used to having like a kid, and that's really more when I would be in Long Island, like when my sister was around. But we were together for a couple of years, and then like my dad got in a lot of trouble, and I ended up going with him, and she stayed with my mom, and we just kind of went our separate ways for a long time.
What you mean in trouble?
Me or
No,
him?
no, him. Yeah, yeah. I was like, what do you mean in trouble?
So I mean, in all transparency, he had like a little bit of a gambling problem, and he was working for a big company. And I don't want to tell his story. You could
Right.
go online and like Google him and find out about all his stuff. But I mean, long story short, he had a gambling problem, and he had to do some time. You know, he got in a little bit of trouble and had to do some time. And while we were going through like the court case and everything with him, I ended up living with him in like a smaller apartment, and you know, my sister stayed at the house with my mom, and you know, we kind of just split up a little bit for a while. And then he ended up doing 5 years. I moved to Florida for a year, but I got like kind of bored and I came back. So, I mean, that was 2002. So I was like 12, 13 years old. And you know, I'd worked at the salon a couple years. I went to Florida for a year. I got sick of it. I came back and I went right back to like working at the salon and just running around, you know, New York.
What was that like for you to experience that at that time as a kid, though? Like to see like your dad going through
Um,
that, and then like obviously it was like a toll on your parents' like marriage, right?
Yeah, I mean, right away they split up, and I didn't like really understand it. You know, I think that my mom didn't handle it great. You know, she took it very personally, even though she was in a very good situation. Like his gambling didn't affect the family. Like that was the thing. My dad's a very secretive guy, and he does like even to this day, like he'll go to work and he'll wake up at like 5 a.m., go to work at 6. And like you won't see him until 8 o'clock at night, and you're like, "What have you been up to all day?" And it's just like working, and like that's it. So I understand why she was like very pressed about stuff, but you know, the things that he did, it hurt his company more than it hurt the family. And when he went away, you know, she didn't lose her house, she didn't lose her car or anything. But I built a bit of a resentment for her because I felt like, well, your situation's still good and his situation's bad. And you're kind of just being like mean to the guy. And that's kind of what led to me going with him. So it was tough, you know, at the time, but I don't think I fully understood like the psychology behind their relationship, and you know, his personal struggles with that gambling addiction and her kind of insecurities. And for me, it was just easier to stay out of it. You know, going to Florida with my aunt was like I didn't really get too involved. I lived with them near, you know, the beach, and I was just kind of chilling. And when I came back, I just hit the streets. I was running around like, with my friends and stuff. So I think it weighed more on my sister than it did on me. But in retrospect, down the line, I learned a lot from that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a real time.
Which part of Florida were you staying in?
So it's called Vero Beach. It's like the East Coast, like 2 hours south of Orlando, 2 hours north of West Palm.
That's cool, man. How would you say that you were like as a kid? Like, were you really into sports, school, or just music early on?
As far as I can remember, I was into music. I've always loved music, like from the jump. I wasn't too big into sports. I wasn't too big into school, but I was very quiet. Like it took me a long time to like really like. I think like I don't know if you ever went to like a Sweet 16 as a kid, and like I'm gonna tell you straight up. If you ever went to like a Sweet 16, a quinceañera, like any of these things, a bar mitzvah, whatever it is, there's like the kids that dance and have fun with everybody, and then there's the kid that like doesn't get out of the chair and just like waits for the next round of meals to come by. Like I was the kid that I was too shy to dance, bro. I was too shy to talk to girls. I didn't like feel like good looking. Like I didn't really have any kind of like outgoing. Like I didn't know myself, let alone let anybody else know me.
So you're kind of like a late bloomer in a way?
I'd say I was very just like shy, and like honestly, like music was really the only thing that I really felt like it, spoke to how I felt, but like I couldn't express how I felt.
Would you say that like music was like a safe haven for you? Like where you felt that you were able to really be more like yourself or share yourself?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if I'd say safe haven, but it helped me like communicate my feelings much more, than words did. Like I think at the time I was probably like on MySpace and stuff. Like I'd pick like what song to put up, and it was like never the one that was trending. Like I was always very big into just like streaming. Like I mean, even then it wasn't streaming, but I had like CDs. Like I had Nas CDs, and I would listen to like Halftime over Made You Look. Like I was very big into just.
Oh, you was on the B sides. Like you liked like the non-popular song. Okay, got you. Okay.
The storytelling, and it was speaking to me because like at the time I didn't really have any identity, but I knew I was struggling and I was really running around the streets, and I didn't have much support from my mom. My dad couldn't really do much for me at the time besides like let me live with him before he went away. And it just like the music kind of just spoke to what I was going through. I was taking the bus, I was on the train, I was like running around from Hempstead to Jamaica to Astoria, just everywhere. And yeah, man, I don't know what it was, but music was always something that I felt like just kind of made me relax and feel better.
So do you remember like the exact moment that you fell in love with hip hop?
I don't remember it like perfectly, but when I was like really young, I was like, this is before anything hit the fan with my family. I had a babysitter as a kid, and she was listening to Bone Crusher, Never Scared, and I was in like the back seat of her car. Yo, and she had back in the day, I don't know how old you are, but back in the day, in the back seats of the car, you could like change the speakers and stuff. And she had like these woofers, the whole car was shaking. It was just like dun 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 dun, and like the Never Scared hit. And I remember just being like, "What the fuck is this?" Because like before, can I curse on here? My bad,
of course,
bro.
Man, of course.
All right, fuck. So I was like, "What is this?" There you go. On radio you can't curse, and I would always slip up, and then I have to like go slam a dump button somewhere.
Oh man.
But yeah, just like the energy, I'll never forget like that, hearing that song in that car and the way it made me feel. Because before that, it was like Kids Bop, In Sync. It was like very like radio pop.
You said Kids Bop. Yo, you really dating yourself now. First you said MySpace, now you said Kids Bop.
Yeah. Nah, I'm 33 years old, bro. I'm like, I'm an old ass man, I feel like. But I mean, I was probably like 7, 8 years old. I mean, I don't know what year. I have to look up when Never Scared came out, but it was a long time ago.
How old was the babysitter compared to you? Like how many more years?
She was probably in high school.
Oh,
she wasn't like that much older. It was like a neighbor, and it was more so just like my parents worked, and she was just like my neighbor's older sister would hang out, like take care of us, and she'd get paid a little bit.
Was she black or Puerto Rican or what?
I think she was Spanish. Her last name was Perez, but I don't know what flavor of Spanish she was.
Mike, flavor.
No idea. What flavor is Perez? Right. Is it Dominican? Is it Ecuadorian? Is it Puerto Rican?
Right.
What is Perez?
So you're what are you? Jewish or
Yeah, I'm like Polish, Russian, and Italian. And my dad's side, they're Jewish. My mom's side's Catholic. I was raised by my grandma, so I went to Catholic school. I have like my cross I wear every day. It's crazy. I was thinking about this yesterday because in any situation in life where I've had like a great opportunity, it's always kind of come from the Jews. But I've never really identified as a Jewish kid because I didn't like do the bar mitzvah thing. I don't speak Hebrew, like, but that side of the family stepped up when my dad went away. Obviously I met Rosenberg, I met Adam Silber. So there's something with the Jews, man, that they've been looking out for me, and I'm very
they
grateful.
take care of their own?
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because I was really raised more by like outside of my grandma, like I grew up around a lot of black and Spanish people.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in like all over the place, but like I lived with my friend's mom, Miss B. I was in a group home for 3 years. So we had this woman, Rhonda, who's like a black lady from Hempstead. She was like really put me on the game throughout my teens. So I kind of got a little bit of culture from that, I guess, but my last name screams white Jew guy. So I don't know.
Right. So with that, right? With you having that background, like you said that the music really spoke to you. How did I mean, obviously people are gonna be like, well, that's black music. Like, how could black music
Yeah.
speak to you with your background?
I mean, I was taking the bus to Jamaica Air from Hempstead Terminal, man. So I was like everybody thought I was Spanish growing up, honestly, because I don't know if it's like because I'm a
I
little
can
bit
see it.
of like
I can
a
see it.
10 or whatever, but a lot of people thought I was Spanish because I was listening to hip hop. I grew up in the hood. I don't speak Italian. I don't know shit about Jewish culture, like, but I could talk hip hop and at the time I was a bad kid, bro. I was like breaking into houses. I was hanging out with kids that was like robbing people. I was doing little stick ups. I was just getting in a lot of trouble and hanging out with like a lot of the bad kids. So it's like I think people just automatically thought I was just a ghetto ass kid, you know?
Damn. Okay, so this is the real story right here. Okay, so why did you feel that you were getting into all of that type of stuff?
Well, so when I came back from Florida, I was like 13, 14 years old, and my dad got in trouble in like 2002, and he went away 2003, and then I was away 2003 to 4 in Florida. So when I came back 2004, I was 14 years old, and in that time, like him and my mom split up immediately when he got arrested. So there was a couple of years he went through court cases, and maybe a year before he went away, like 3 years into court cases, he met a woman that they got married right before he went to jail, and she was a teacher. It like helped him with his health insurance. It helped her get a house and all this stuff. And when I came back from Florida, I lived with her. But at that time, he had been away for a year. Their relationship was a little rocky, and even though I could stay in her house, I wasn't really part of her family, and it
Right.
just kind of made me have to support myself. And I was going to school in Oceanside at the time, and I had made friends with a couple of guys that were like from Island Park and the kids that like went to West Hempstead. And I just ended up hanging out with them and catching little licks, and I started smoking. I was like making money with them, and it just kind of was like, all right, well, I gotta do what I gotta do to survive. And then, on top of it, I'm listening to music that's talking about stick up. So I'm not thinking about like any repercussions. I'm a kid that like really doesn't know what's happening. And if there was an opportunity to get some bread, I was just out here trying to get to it. Um, it wasn't all bad. I sold mixtapes, I sold t-shirts, like I sold fake sneakers and shit. Like I wasn't just doing stick ups, but like there was a couple of times where I would just like go out and like, grab somebody's laptop when they getting off the train, or, grab something like give me the shit in your pocket. And I don't know, man. I'm not proud of it, but it definitely was a crazy time in retrospect.
So you was packing heat at the time, or you just like more like
I
threatening, like
had
to like beat him up?
Nah, I had like a little piece. I ended up getting in mad trouble. I brought it to school. I got arrested. And that's what led to me going to the group home. But, I was like, it wasn't like loaded or nothing. I was just like really to scare people and to like be more like intimidating, like run your pockets type shit. And yeah, I mean, I was scared straight, man. I went to group home for 3 years, and I was just like, I'm never getting in trouble again. This shit sucks.
Yeah, before we get into that, right? Because that's on my list to ask you about too. Why was it living with your mom like an option at that time?
So honestly, my mom didn't really want me. Like she felt that I just kind of picked my dad's side, and then I went to my aunt in Florida, who's like my dad's sister, and they had like a little beef. And then
So there's
when
kind
I
of some resentment there that you
a
you
lot
decide
of
to
resentment,
gotcha.
and
Okay.
my mom still has resentment. I try to talk to her about it. Like we're cool now, but we didn't talk for years, and there was a lot of resentment on her end just towards me and my dad. And I think it traces back. I mean, there was a lot of issues with men in their family. Like she's one of like a couple of girls. They have like she has one brother but a sister, her mom, and she was kind of raised by a lot of females. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but whatever it is, she's big on holding grudges. And then when I had come back from Florida, so when I was a kid, I was like, I played tennis a little bit. Like she was really big into like playing tennis. And when I came back from Florida, she was like dating my tennis coach. And it was just like bad. Like me and him had a lot of beef, and he didn't want me anywhere near the crib. And when I got in trouble, she was just like, well, I'm not taking him. Like that's his father should take him, but he's in jail, so that's your problem. And I actually like I had gotten in trouble, but they were like, he's not a bad kid. I was doing good in school. I just was like doing bad shit outside of school. And we saw a magistrate, this woman, I think her name was Magistrate Phillips in Nassau County. And she was like, yo, you could take him. Like he could go live with you. And she was just like, I don't want him. Like, and for 3 months, when this happened, I would go to court and they'd send me back to the group home. So it's like I went there in March 2004, and March 2006, no, March 2005. I went there, and it was like March I went, April I went back to court. The judge is like, "Did you figure out a place to live?" And my mom's like, "I still don't want him." My aunt was trying to get like custody of me somehow, like in Florida. My mom wouldn't let me go to Florida. She's like, well, he's not going to Florida. I wanted to live with my grandma, but my grandma had Alzheimer's and the judge wouldn't like approve it. And then so for April to May, I went back to the group home. May came and it was like my third court date. And the judge is like, if we can't figure this out, like I have to remand him for like 6 months. So we never figured out like a place for me to go that was like a safe, secure place with like where the judge would allow me to go. And they remanded me for 6 months. And then I was out there 6 months, went back to court, same situation. And that went on for 3 years until I was like old enough to age out. And then, I
Wow.
aged out at like when I was like about to turn 18. And like a couple weeks before my 18th birthday, I moved to Brooklyn and I started living in like a basement. My uncle in Florida, his mom had a basement that they rented, and I was there. And then shortly after, my dad came.
So what did that make you feel like during that time then? That the fact that your mom wasn't willing to take you in?
Well, so before the group home, I was like very resentful about it, because I was like, I hated being in the group home and shit, like for that 3 months. Once they mandated me there, it was just like, I don't know exactly when the wake up call was, because I remember when the cops brought me in there, like I was handcuffed. They brought me in and they clear out the house, like when they do a new intake. And I was just angry, man. I was cursing at people. I was wilding. And it definitely took a few months for me to chill out, get comfortable there, make friends there, and then kind of just like, work on getting my karma right. Cause I think that's when I learned that like my karma was shit. Like I had hurt a lot of people,
Mm.
and I didn't want to do that anymore. So, I mean, I just learned through that experience. Like I don't even litter, bro. Like I won't even throw a piece of paper on the floor because I feel like I'm gonna end up with a scratch on my car a week later. Like I really believe in that karma shit from the group home experience
You believe in the energy, like what you put out is like what you're gonna get back.
for sure. And I'd put
Yeah.
out a lot of bad stuff to end up in that situation.
I mean, bro, like so at that time you're still a kid, right? And your dad's in
Yeah.
his situation and your mom is not willing to do the motherly thing, right? And obviously take care of her child. So like that's just like a clear example. Oh, I mean that's proof in my opinion that white people don't always have it good, okay?
Eh, yes, they do. What do you mean? Nah, I really believe, and I'll keep it a buck. I really believe that like if I was like a black or Spanish kid, they would have sent me to jail, honestly, because I was in JDC at first. It was like a detention center, and I was there for like maybe a month. Like it wasn't long that I was in there, but you could tell there's a clear divide in the way that they treat black and Spanish people and the way they treat white people. And I don't know, man. I mean, granted, it was really tough. And like, I definitely say, like, I haven't cashed in on my white privilege, maybe until now. But I grew up around a lot of black and Spanish people, and everybody would call me White Mike, and it's like I really felt like I was more
Oh
part of
my
like the
god, I didn't
culture.
even think about that. That you was
Yeah,
the
bro.
white, the token white Mike.
Yeah, bro. Hey, bro, if you look at my high school yearbook, I was one of two white people in my whole high school, the school I graduated from. So it's like I didn't really feel like I didn't like I got the white privilege and compared to like if I was in Flatbush Junction with like my black friends and like they stopped us, like they would let me go. But like on the flip side, black people gave me mad shit all the time. They was cooking me. That's how I learned how to talk so much shit, like being around black and Spanish people. Because white people, they would have had me out here fucking messed up, bro.
Oh, because they were snapping on you, huh? That's how you learned to snap back?
Yeah, bro. Like the barbershop and like just being outside because it was cutting my ass, and I really had to get funny. Like it was not good, you
Yeah,
know. I
because I
really,
saw on an interview you were saying that you're not like trained in media or anything, but you just know how to talk shit.
I
Like
just talk
that's
shit. That's it. But that's you. That was what happens. You grow up around a lot of black and Spanish people,
right, right,
you know,
right.
and you're the only white guy.
So take us through the group home, like actually like being there, right? Like outside of the things that you were talking about. Are you like having to fight all the time? Like what is the experience being there?
Nah, I mean, I had like maybe two or three fights in there. It wasn't anything crazy. Like, it's weird because the house wasn't that big. It was one, two, three, four, five. It was probably like a 5 bedroom house. It was all the way out in Center Reach, Long Island, in like the middle of nowhere. And they have 24-hour staff. So there's always somebody that's there that's like in college to be a social worker or just became a social worker. And they kind of monitor everything. So, things are mostly under control in there. If there's 5 rooms, I think the most kids that were in there at a time was like 12. And I think that like I was there for so long that like new people would come at a certain point and like I was just like the guy there, I've been there forever. The staff knew me. So I didn't have too hard of a time. But like there were certain kids that would come in and they would test you and like you'd have to fight over some bullshit, like some fucking breakfast or whatever. But it wasn't terrible. Like I made friends with a lot of people that were there, and I was still young enough that like I didn't realize like how intense it was. Like I'm just looking at it like I'm at like a sleepaway boarding school camp thing. After being there for a little over a year, they let me go to the high school. So like I went to a public high school. Like I had a little girlfriend at the time. Like I couldn't leave the house to do anything but school, but like it was a semi-normal life. It's like living in like a house with like 8 kids that are your age.
Don't lie, Mike. You know you was sneaking weed in there and stuff.
Well, I did. I snuck weed like once or twice, and it was never good weed, bro. At that time I didn't know shit about getting good bud, and like I remember, bro, I was at the school because I was like one of the few kids. It was like 4 of us that were allowed to go to the school, and I had some kid bring me weed one day. He brought it in like tinfoil, and I put it like in my shoe, like all the way tucked in, and that shit was just like flat and crushed, and it was like the weed in there was not
Uh,
it. And honestly, bro, they let you smoke cigarettes in there at the time. They cut it off. I think 2008, they passed some law that you couldn't smoke anymore. And these kids freaked out because they would let us have cigarette breaks, even at like 17, 18 years old. They're like, if you have them, you can smoke them.
wow. So
So,
there at the group home, that's when you started writing what emails, messages on MySpace to Rosenberg and everybody from all over.
yeah.
So take us
So,
through that. Like, how did you come up with that idea to be like, yo, I'm gonna write to so and so?
I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, when I was younger, I sold a lot of mixtapes, so I was very much into music. In the group home, I had an iPod. I had like the old 50 Cent Snoop Dogg video iPod with like the white wheel that was like black and white screen, and I would always like put music on there. They would bring us on like library trips. So where the house was, it was 100 Horse Block Road was the address. It was about a mile from a Walmart. And like once a week, they would like take all of us, like we'd walk single file from the house to Walmart, and they would give us like a small allowance, like $10 to be able to buy like necessities. And next to the Walmart, there was like a library. So once in a while, if you had like a cool supervisor, they would be like, "Oh, we could go to the library and use the computer for an hour." So I was on the computer at the library one day and I was on MySpace and I just decided like to just write this thing. And I just wrote like this long thing. And Angie Martinez is the first person I sent it to. Like I wrote the thing in the message to her, and then I just copy and pasted it. And I went to Hot 97's website and I sent it to everybody that worked there. And I went back to group home, and like I think 9 days later we went to the library again, and Rosenberg had written back, and I just kind of like had made the connection through MySpace randomly, and that was it. And I mean, at the time,
Could you
Rosenberg
tell?
wasn't
Could you
big.
tell at that time if they had read it? I don't remember. Like,
I don't think so. I don't think
oh,
anybody read it, honestly. I was surprised he even opened it. And I think I didn't even know who he was. Like, I had seen him just on the Hot 97 on air website. And like, fast forward, it's crazy to think because I met him through just seeing him on that on air tab. And then, like, years later, I ended up on that same tab. Like, I was the last thing on there, but like for having my own show. So it's just
wow.
crazy how life goes full circle. But it was such a coincidence that he even got that message because it was really written to Angie, and it just he wrote back, and he just gave me some good advice. We didn't connect on like any business. I didn't start working with him. I really didn't even work with him until maybe 6 years later. Like at that time, it was just like, yo, go to school and become a broadcaster, and like good luck. Maybe one day you'll get an internship here.
What did you say to him? I mean, what did you say in the message though? It was like, can you tell me
I
how
wish
to?
I had it, bro. I really wish I had it. It was one of those moments. I think we all have them where it's just like shit just like boils up and you get very emotional and you just like go off and like write like and I just wrote like this whole thing. Like it might have even been like a rap, bro. I honestly might have like rhymed a bunch of shit and just like sent a long ass rap and fucking was just like whatever, just to like get shit off my chest. And I think the gist of it was just like I don't know what the fuck to do with myself. Like life sucks, and I want to work in music one day, and any advice you could give me is like appreciated. And yeah, I mean, I really wish I had that message somewhere because I would love to put that out.
That's crazy, man. That like you put that out like into like the universe, right? Like it's almost like
Yeah, without even knowing, bro. It's like I always say that shit chose me because I really could have never guessed like at all, bro, that anything would come from that message, let alone what ended up happening down the line with winning tickets and all this other shit.
so obviously like it wasn't like he like offered you a job or anything like that, but it was like him even responding was like some kind of hope to you, right? Like
Yeah, it was just a quick response. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like, I got a response. Like, I couldn't believe I got a response. And it was like, it was literally nothing. It was like, yo, thanks for the note, bro. Like, I understand what you're going through. And like, I wish you the best in the future. Maybe take up broadcasting in college and, you could apply for an internship here one day. Like it wasn't even like here's my email or hit me on the side or anything. And it was like one message back and forth on MySpace. That's it. And then like shortly after MySpace was dead, I was on Facebook. I didn't see him again on there. Like I used like Meet Spot and Facebook and all this other shit. And yeah, I mean it was so crazy that he even responded to that message. And it's even more crazy that I sent it.
so after that, that's when you started uh trying to get tickets to Rock the Bells, right?
Well, so like that was maybe the second year in the group home. A year went by, I didn't think nothing of it, and then when I came home, I was living in Brooklyn. A few weeks into living there, my cousin he had gotten me a job at this restaurant called Michael's. So I was working as a busboy on like Avenue R and Nostrand, just kind of like working at this Italian restaurant. Shortly after, I worked at like a pharmacy. Like he owned a pharmacy on Avenue U, so I started delivering like medication to people from there. And on Avenue U, like he owns a block of stores. It's like my aunt in Florida, that's my dad's sister. She married a guy named Eddie, and his brother manages all these stores. So it's like a distant uncle kind of.
Damn.
And he just put me on to like help him with the stores, and I worked in like the deli for a little bit. I worked at the pharmacy. I
You see
worked in
that
like
Jewish connection?
Yo, it's crazy. I'm telling you, the Jews just like I wasn't even anything. And honestly, I'll keep it a buck. And if Steve's watching this, I'll tell you straight up, I feel like he gave me that opportunity because it's like I'm close enough to trust, but like I'm far enough that if something happens to me, it's like it's not that big of a deal. Like it's not like his kid's gonna get hurt, you know?
Right.
And I think it was great because it really taught me, like, he was a landlord, you know, and like it helped me get a foundation for understanding, like, you know, you could own some shit and you could collect rent and literally like be a rich guy. And like I was poor as hell at the time. Like he was sending me to go to, like, he owned a video store where they sold like pornos and shit, like the building, and it was leased to a video store, and I'd go pick up the rent. Like there, I'd go pick up the rent at like a laundromat he owned. Like I was just going and like knocking on doors and like, yo, you have the rent? And they'd be like, oh, I gotta pay him. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like I'm gonna have to come back here. And it was like I became like the guy that would just go grab the rent for him. But yeah, like next door to that, there was a barber shop, and you know that's kind of what got me into the barbering heavy. And you know that's when I started listening to radio a lot. When I was working at the barber shop, it was just like always on, and if there was an opportunity to like win tickets, I was calling. And I don't know how, bro. That's why there's some things that you just can't even explain. Bro, I won tickets to Rock the Bells 3 years in a row. Like 3 years in a row. And you can only win tickets once a year from a radio station. And literally, I won tickets to the same concert every year for 3 years straight. Like, it made no sense.
That's crazy. That's like some real like divine intervention, like out in the universe
Crazy
type of shit, right?
And people think I'm capping. I have the tickets, bro. Like I have the tickets. They say comp. They're zero, and like I'm telling you, I can't make this shit up. It's crazy. I still can't believe it. I really can't.
So the first year that you win the tickets, do you meet Rosenberg there?
So the first year I go, it was at Jones Beach, and I was with another cousin, my Italian cousin, whatever. He had like kind of just gotten into DJing, and he knew a guy that owned a cell phone store that had like done promo with Rock the Bells. So I won the tickets. I brought him, and we just went, and we're in the crowd, and he saw this guy, and the guy was like, "Yeah, come backstage," and he like brought us backstage. He had like a section, and I met that year like Slick Rick and all these people. And I saw Rosenberg, but I don't think I said anything to him that year. I just like saw him hosting, and that was it. I met like M1 from Dead Prez. I met Slick Rick. I met the guys from Tribe. I met Nas that year. I saw Jay-Z and Beyonce like 5 feet away from me. I met Method Man, Redman, the whole Wu-Tang, Common. It was like a lot of old school throwback artists were there that year.
Wait. See, you glossing over now, okay? You glossing over.
Bro.
You met Nas, which is like your idol, right?
It was, and it was crazy. But Nas played me at Rock the Bells. I met Nas. I asked him for a picture. He's like, yeah, when I get off stage. And then I never saw him again until years later when I like properly got to meet him, and like he showed me mad love. But yeah, man, Rock the Bells. I mean, I'll pull up. I'm gonna show you a picture real quick. It's crazy. I was young, bro. I was there. I met Tyga when he was like, he's just like not even rapping. He was like Big Tigger's cousin, just hanging out at Rock the Bells. Bro, look at this picture of me and Tyga in fucking 2000.
Wait, he's Big Tigger's cousin?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, wow. That's why he got the name Tyga.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he was there just chilling. I mean, bro, I was like, you see, I was just like a kid.
Wow.
You know, but it was like amazing, bro, to be at Rock the Bells and like to be able to like just meet anybody, because I was listening to all this music, and it was like just crazy to see these people in person, man.
Yeah. So then like with the second year, what happens then?
So the second year, at that point, I had been working at the pharmacy for a while, and one of the guys at the pharmacy, he worked for a photography company on the side. So they did like events. And basically, it's like if you ever went to like a wedding, they have like a booth set up. You pick a picture frame, you take a picture, they frame it, and they give it to you. So I was a framer for that company. I would just like put the pictures in the frame for the photographer. And it was like my job to drive up to like these places. So I had to drive to like Connecticut one night, and I'm coming home, and it's like 1 a.m. and Lil Nat's on the radio. And it was like a text thing, and it was like text 75759 to win tickets to Rock the Bells. And I text it, and I'm like coming through like the bridge over there. I just get on like the Van Wyck, and my phone rings, and I pick up the phone. It's like before I even go under the thing by JFK. I'm like just getting on the Van Wyck, and I pick it up, and I'm like, hello? And she's like, it's Lil Nat from Hot 97. You want tickets to Rock the Bells? I was like, no way. I freaked out. Yeah, man. So I went that year. And at the time, I was also a barber. I had 3 jobs. I was a pharmacy. I was working at the restaurant. I was a barber. and I was cutting this guy Lil Fame's hair, and Lil Fame is like half of MOP. I don't know. I
Right,
gotta give
right,
Lil
right.
Fame mad love. So I went to Rock the Bells that year, and I saw Lil Fame getting like walked through the backstage, and he recognized me. And he's like, "Come through," and he pulled me backstage, and that's where we took that picture. And that was the first year I met Rosenberg like in person. And I walked up to him and I'm like, yo, I'm like the guy from MySpace. And like he remembered me. And I was like, yo, I'd love to work with you. Like anything I could do. Like I'm working these jobs and I'm not loving it. And like I want to do more of this. And he was just like, yo, you got to go to school. Like when you finish high school, go to college for broadcasting and, maybe you could get an
Oh, so at this
internship.
time, you haven't even finished high school yet.
Nah, this is like I'm just getting ready to finish high school. It was like 2008, so I graduated
Wow.
that year. But yeah, I was like I didn't know what to do after high school, and he kind of just told me like go to college and you could get an internship where they give you credits. So I was going to school. It's called BCA. It's in like Flatbush, Brooklyn, and Junction. I was like again, I was the only white dude in this school, and it's connected to Brooklyn College. So I would go to Brooklyn College a lot and just hang out. And I went to the admissions office. I just walked over there one day after class and I met this girl that worked in admissions and she finessed getting me into Brooklyn College. And I went there for maybe
Wait, Mike. No, you gave it to her.
Nah, not even. Not even. I think she just felt bad, bro,
Okay, all right.
because she looked at my transcripts and I went to 5 high schools, bro. And my
Oh,
transcripts were fucked up. I had a year in Florida. I had a year in a Long Island high school. I went to another high school in Long Island. I went to 5 schools when all was said and done. And she looked at my transcript and I had like a 73 average. And she's like, you can't get into Brooklyn College with a 73 average. And I was like, I went to all these fucking schools. Like, it shouldn't be 73. And whatever she did, she got me in. And I went there and I gave up on it real quick and I feel terrible because she really went hard to try to get me in. But I went to Brooklyn College and I just like it wasn't for me. And I was like, fuck, man, what am I gonna do? And I was making more money doing these 3 jobs than I was going to school. And it was just costing me money and I couldn't afford to do it. And I dropped out. And I kept working that year. I did these gigs. And, again, Rock the Bells came around and I was at the barbershop and I won tickets, bro. And I so with that with year 3, I go to Hot 97 because when you win tickets from radio, you have to go to the station to pick them up from the office. And I go to Hot 97, and at the time there was 4 elevators, but only one of them went to the 7th floor. And I got in the wrong elevator with some guy, and he had a Metro PCS bag, like a paper bag, said Metro on it, whatever. And we're going up and down and we're passing the 7th floor. Like it won't stop there. And we're hitting the button and it's not stopping there. And we're like, what the fuck? And it just led to a conversation between me and this guy. He's like, what are you going there for? And I'm like, oh, I won tickets. And he's like, oh, I'm going there to drop off winter tickets. I work for Metro PCS. And he's like, yo, and he gave me 4 tickets to Rock the Bells on top of the 2 I won. So that
wow.
year, bro, I went to Rock the Bells. I had 6 tickets. And no cap in my rap, I'm telling you. No cap in my rap, bro.
That's
I had
crazy.
6 comp tickets from him and from Hot 97. And I sold some and I went to Rock the Bells with so I sold 2 and I went with the girl I was seeing at the time, one of my friends and one of her friends. And at the time, it was at Governor's Island at that point. They had moved it off Jones Beach. We took the ferry and it was pouring rain, bro. It was just like downpouring. And we're outside and it's just like raining. And this is the 3rd year. So by that time, I had like finessed my way backstage. The last 2 years, I kind of knew some of the security guys. There's this dude Turtle that like worked for Gorilla Nation or Gorilla Union, whatever it's called, that he helped me get backstage. And me and her are like standing there and we're under a tent, but it's like pouring. And she's just going off on me, bro. Her friend left. She wanted to leave with her friend. My friend left, like, and she didn't want to be there. And I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to watch the show. And Rosenberg sees her like screaming at me, going off on me. And I see him and I'm like, and I just like stop her and I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. Like, I don't give a fuck, whatever. Like, I storm off and she's like, you don't know that fucking guy, rah, rah, rah. And I walk up to him and I'm just like, bro, I don't know if you remember me, but like, I met you on MySpace and then again last year. And like, you told me to go to school and I tried to go to school and it's not working. And like, I just fucking hate this shit. And like, I need to work with you, like whatever it is. And I think he just felt bad for me, bro. And he gave me his email and he was just like, email me tomorrow and we could talk. and I was just like showing off. I stayed for like a little bit more of the show. I ended up meeting Jay-Z low key after that. I like Jay-Z came out of a trailer over there. I like shook Jay-Z's hand. He was mad cool. I met like Chris Rock. Like they were all together, Mary J. Like it was a crazy year, bro. Like when I tell you, like I can't make this shit up, bro. I had pictures of like Mary J, Alicia Keys. Like it was
Wow.
crazy to be there that year, bro. It was like Jay and Beyonce sneaking around backstage. Crazy year. And, you know, sure enough, bro, I hung out the rest of the show. I went home. I emailed Rosenberg the next day and I didn't hear back. I was like, fuck. And I just like life went back. I was working at that time. I started working a pizzeria. So I was doing that. I was still cutting hair. And 3 days went by. I didn't hear anything. And I'm at this pizzeria. I'm at a Restaurant Depot loading up my car with like cheese and all this shit to bring back to the pizzeria. And my phone dings and I look at my email and it's Rosenberg. And he's like, yo, can you give me a ride tomorrow? He was like, do you have a car? If so, I need a ride tomorrow to this event that I'm doing. You could pick me up at 8. And I responded, I'm like, hell yeah. He sent me the address and like you know, it's a long story of what led to it, but ultimately like I went to the event with him. And I mean, it has to make sense, I gotta tell it, but it's pretty much like he hit me with the time and the place. And the day of the event, it was like the next day, I'm at my boy's house and I'm driving this really shitty car that like I was using for Restaurant Depot runs and all. I was just like embarrassed, but I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna pick him up in this car. And my boy asked me to drop something off to his sister on the way to the city. And I pull up in front of her house in the shitty car, and she's parked in front with one of her girlfriends, and they had a brand new Maxima. And I get out and I hand her the envelope, and I was just like talking to her. I'm like, well, what you guys doing tonight? They was doing whatever. They're like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm about to go pick this Rosenberg guy up. He said he needed a ride to an event. And they were like, yo, can we go? And I was like, can you drive? And she was like, yeah, I'll drive. And I was like, bet. And I got in the back seat of this girl's car and we drove to the city. And Rosenberg came outside and he sees that the girls were driving me around. And he's like, you got girls driving you around? And I'm like, yo, bro, it'd be like that sometimes. Like, you want this ride? And he's like, fuck it. And he got in and we sat in the back seat of this girl's car and drove to Santos Party House. And it was the Jay-Z Eminem after party from the Yankee Stadium show. And we had a great time, bro. We like had a blast. And yeah, man, that was the beginning of working with Rosenberg. And I'll tell you, I'm gonna show you the pictures too. This is like day one, man. September 5th, 2000, September 15th, 2010, right after Rock the Bells, Santos Party House.
Wow. You
And
gotta
I
be
worked.
one of the luckiest motherfuckers I have ever heard of in my life. Like seriously, it's so crazy.
I work really, really, really hard on karma, bro. Like I put all my energy into building good karma, period. Because I really like doing bad shit really led me to like a really bad situation. And that group home having 3 years of building karma, I think that's what led to a lot of those blessings. Because
Right.
all my friends are gone, bro. Like rest in peace to like Nestor, Saul, Stooksta, Wheezy, you know, D Harris. I could go all day. Like all my homies are gone. I'm really the only one that's around still.
Crazy.
So I really feel like I'm blessed and protected, man. Plus my grandma said the rosary a lot. So big up my grandma Marsha, you know.
Shout out to her, man.
She said the rosary all day, every day.
Yo, so Hot 97, right, is like the most iconic radio station. What, like in New York, the world, maybe? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely up there, right?
It's up there.
Yeah. So, but then you had Power 105 and the Breakfast Club coming up, right? Right? Okay.
I guess,
so,
yeah, I'd stay out of it.
but when that whole beef was popping off, like what was like your reaction to that whole situation?
I hated Power 105, bro. I didn't understand shit, man. I was brand new. I was riding for my team. I'm a loyal dude. I really believe in karma, you know, and it's like, if y'all ain't fucking with them, I'm not fucking with them. And I'm super not fucking with them. Granted, it didn't like mean anything. It was just like radio beef is the weakest beef there could be. You know, it's like, it is what it is. But at the time, I was definitely riding for Hot, you know?
But did you ever like have any interactions with like Envy and Charlamagne?
Not me. No, they didn't know who I was at the time, bro. I was so after that whole thing went down, I met Rosenberg. I started driving him around a lot, and I got a job in the city. My dad ended up getting out of jail and getting a job at Sleepy's selling beds, and he got me hooked up in there. So I was working at Sleepy's. I kind of left the barbershop and all these other gigs, and I would spend my day at Sleepy's just selling beds in a suit. I would change, drive Rosenberg around at night, go back to Sleepy's, work a full shift in the morning. So
Oh,
I
because you was
wasn't
doing
really.
all of that for free, right?
Yeah, I
Like
didn't
you
get
was.
paid anything. What do you mean? I never got paid anything. Nothing.
So it was the opportunity, and you know, no, but you know what? You got to give it up to you, because a lot of people, you know, they kind of like want that immediate, like, yo, am I getting a job? Am I getting paid? What am I getting? Like, you was just like, no, this is the opportunity right here, and you saw it.
I should have been one of those people. I should have focused on my bag.
No, I
Nah,
mean, but you might not have gone as far as you are, you know.
I have the fullest life of anybody I've ever met, ever, including I've met everybody. And I think I have a more full life than fucking, you got to go to like Drake to talk about living as full of a life type shit, because I've seen a lot of crazy things. I've been around a lot of great people, and I'm not like a famous dude where I'm bothered. So I get to be at like I've been front row at the US Open. I've seen Serena play. Like I've had crazy, amazing full life. Full pockets? No. My pocket's been empty forever. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like I got the life out of it, but I didn't get any stability. And I worked for free for 8 years, you know, driving Rosenberg around, paying for gas, paying for tolls, spending my own money that I was making at Sleepy's to just try to get an opportunity to do something in radio that could be a career. And it was like, I mean, again, I was working at Sleepy's, driving him around at night, going back to Sleepy's, taking a nap on one of the beds, waking up, selling beds, bro. Like that was my life for 3.5 years until a street team position opened up at Hot, and I got to come in and work like street team events.
Did you get paid for that?
Yeah, but street team made like, it was like 18 in an hour, and you only worked like 6 hours a week. You like came in.
All right.
It's like you pick up a van, you drive to like a cell phone store, you set up like some DJ equipment, you play music off an iPod and just promote the station, and then you unload the van and go home. Like I wasn't in the studio, I wasn't around any of the personalities. Nobody was talking to me besides Rosenberg. Like it, you know, it wasn't like any kind of luxurious job. I didn't meet a ton of people like celebrity wise. It was just like I was associated with the brand at like the very base level. But you know, I was happy, man. I was just like, I couldn't believe my foot was even in the door. And the way that they would sell me, man, was like, you work hard, you pay your dues, you're gonna do something here. And I didn't realize that it doesn't work like that until years later, until I was like in my late 20s, where I realized like, oh nah, they're just fucking using me. Not Rosenberg, but a lot of people.
Got you. Okay. But like during that time, you were really building like a friendship with Rosenberg, though.
Yeah, I think me and him off the rip, we had like a mutual respect for each other. You know, I think he really appreciated that, you know, I was around New York and that I knew all the spots and like kind of a lot of people, and I was able to kind of move throughout the city. Like, you know, he came up from DC, so he was kind of new to New York. So like we would go to SOBs or like these events, and I'd be with him, and I'm just a little bit more like on high alert. And I was a great assistant, bro. Like honestly, like I'm the kind of guy that like if I saw like somebody was bothering him, I'd pull him away. Or if I saw like maybe he finished his drink, like he'd have another one. So I was very attentive as an assistant, and it definitely made his life easier not having to drive or think about anything. I'm on time. You know, I'm early. If he told me be there at 8 and he didn't come down till 9, I'd just sit there and not say a word, you know, like so I played my position well, and I think he respected that, and I appreciated him, and we still have a great relationship to this day.
So during that time, is he telling you like is he just being like, yo, just sit tight, like a position's gonna open up, or like how is
Nah,
not at all?
he was just, I'm an assistant, you know. Like when I got the street team gig, it was like cool to have me at the station, but even then, it was like, okay, well now that you could be at the station, you could help me like take the curses out of songs, or you could like help me inside the station in this way. And like I was living at the station, like you know, I was after the Sleepy's thing. I got street team. I left Sleepy's. I would literally sleep at the station just to be around and to be seen and to like watch people do stuff. And I learned, the first thing I learned was how to take curses out of songs. So like when people found out I knew how to do that, it was like K Slay's like, yo, can you take these curses out? Flex, can you take these curses out? And I became that guy. It led to a board op job. So then shout out Carly Hustle. She was like, yo, I see you're always in the studio. Like, do you want to run boards? And I started kind of like hitting buttons for commercials and the bomb and all these little like sound effects. Um, but I don't think anybody expected me to ever be on air. And honestly, I didn't expect to be a host. Like, I really wanted to be a music manager and like be behind the scenes. Like, I was trying to be like Ari Gold on Entourage type shit. I wanted to be that guy. I didn't want to be a rapper. I didn't want to make music. I didn't want to do interviews, nothing. I just wanted to be like a guy that managed like high profile talent.
Yeah, but you got to like really experience so many jobs within it. So like you was living and breathing it. So like you were like seeing it happen like at the bottom level all the way up, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I listened to a lot of people and I didn't believe in myself. You know, I really believed like I wasn't shit because, you know, there's certain people, and I don't want to put them on blast, but they know who they are. They would tell you like, you ain't shit, bro. Like, I've been here 20 years, 30 years. You got to keep working, bro. Maybe one day. And like, I believed it, bro. I bought into all of it. I was like, I'll do anything. I don't care about myself. I care about y'all. And it wasn't until I realized like y'all don't give a shit about me that I started kind of making my own plays to situate myself, because I'm like, nobody's got me besides me.
Right.
Like, you know? But
I
yeah,
know
man,
you
I mean,
I know you're really big on loyalty, but at the same time you got to be loyal to yourself too.
straight up, and I wasn't. And I'll say this, like, Rosenberg helped me as far as like getting me street team and this and that, but like, I don't think he even thought I would be on radio. Like, I wasn't talking either. Like, I wasn't being like, I'm gonna be a radio host one day and like manifesting it. I was talking like, whatever y'all want me to do, whatever. Like, I'll do whatever you guys need help with. And like, I was really not considered a threat, and like I didn't need anybody to vouch for me, because it's like the jobs that they put me on, I did well and I was happy with.
So how did you eventually get on the radio then? Like how did that opportunity present itself?
Well, so I've been doing boards for a while. I did boards maybe for 3 years. And at that point, I'm like in maybe 26, 25, 26, something like that. And there was a girl that was working there, and like things changed at the station. Like, I started at the tail end of like the golden era. Like, when I came in, it was like Angie Martinez did 3 p.m. Mr. C was on the midday. You know, Big Dennis was on doing middays with C. You know, Siphon Rosenberg did the morning show, and you know, Flex has been on nights forever, but it was like that was the starting lineup was like the OGs. At a point, Dennis got let go. C had left. Like, some drama happened with him. You know, Angie's contract ran out and they did her dirty, and she ended up going to Power. And it just, the station became a different place, you know? And at the time, they had hired somebody that was like helping the program director or the assistant program director, and they gave her an overnight slot just off the rip. She was like doing this, the program director's like makeup or whatever, and she was like her right hand, and she's like, I'm gonna put you on. So she gave this girl the overnight, and the girl did it for a little bit but was like very inconsistent. She kind of came in late, left early. She started like dating and managing a rapper, and like it just wasn't going well, because you know, you need somebody to be on point with radio. Radio is one of those things that it's like, if you don't hit the button at this second, there's nothing playing, and like you lose a ton of money. You know, if a commercial plays it,
It's like the dead space, right?
yeah.
Like you can't have any
And if like a
right.
commercial that's supposed to play at like 7 in the 7 o'clock hour, if I play a commercial at 8:01, it's like an 8:01 commercial might cost 10 grand, a 7:01 commercial might cost 20 grand. So it's like, if I played it late, this company could go to the radio station and be like, oh, we heard our commercial in the 8 o'clock block. That's a $10,000 block. Why did we pay you 20 for a 7 o'clock block? And they could ask for credits. And so you have to be very sharp with your timing down to the second. And this girl wasn't doing it. I was just living there. Like, you know, I was there all the time. And the opportunity opened up. She didn't show up one day. They were like, do you know how to do it? I was like, yeah. I started running the boards. I wasn't even talking, but I was just running the boards, just playing music. And they were like, you got the overnight shift. And I did that for a year. And a year into doing overnights, they were like, why aren't you talking? And I was like, I didn't know I could talk. And they were like, yeah, you could talk, like, like do a break, like say like tickets are coming up, whatever. And I just kind of jumped into it like that and just kind of found myself through trial and error.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I was watching some of your old videos and I saw like you like filming and you was like, yo, this is, what it's like at Hot 97. And then, somebody called out for the day. I'm gonna sleep on this couch and then I'm gonna,
Yeah.
do it like, he's like, this is the radio life. I thought that was real dope. How was
Thanks,
your
man.
relationship with like K Slay and Ebro and Flex and everybody?
With K Slay, we was like this, man. I love K Slay so much, bro. And of everybody that I've gotten to work with, K Slay is the realest fucking guy, period. On God. K Slay is like everything. I'm about to get a K Slay tattoo. That was my brother for real. Like, I love that dude, man. And honestly, like, I was close with Flex for a while. Me and Flex, like, it's not that we were close that we would talk, but like I came in at midnight and he was on till midnight and he would stay a lot till 2, 3 in the morning talking with Chuck Chill Out and Red Alert. And Chuck and Red really fucked with me and respected me, and we had great conversations. And I think Flex really liked me, for a long time. I think we had a good rapport. It wasn't until I kind of got competitive with him where I started kind of interviewing artists and like getting a little bit of attention myself that he switched up with me. And I don't think in his heart that's what he was trying to do. I just think it's like, I don't want to talk too much on my personal feelings of Flex. I love the guy, but I think he has some stuff he needs to work through. And he put the business before, the friendship, which
Mm.
obviously has made him very successful in business, but it's also isolated him from a lot of people. And we're just different guys. So our relationship was great, but it got weird at a point. And I'd say now we barely if ever talk. Like if we see each other, like he'll give me a fist bump or like whatever, but like it's weird. And
Is
same
he
with
the one
Ebro,
that told
man.
you that you ain't shit? That like
Nah,
okay,
nah, I don't.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that say, I don't even think when somebody said like you ain't shit, they meant it in like a mean way. I think it was just more like you gotta fucking pay your dues, bro. And like it's like a frat, it's like we gonna haze you, we gonna talk to you like when I was at the barber shop, I'm the new barber, it's like your haircut sucked, bro. So I think it was more that, but I was also insecure and it weighed heavier on me.
Mm.
And with Flex, it's he never talked to me bad. He was always very cool with me. I helped him out a lot with a lot of shit. I put him onto a lot of artists. I ran a lot of shows for him. If he couldn't come in, I played old shows. I was always on point with Flex. We always had a good relationship, pretty much up until the end. Um, Ebro got funny with me, bro. I'll be so honest. And if Ebro sees this, I would tell him straight up. I love Ebro to death and I respect him and I respect his gangster. But like Ebro could be a fucked up dude sometimes in the sense of like he don't give a shit about you. It's like he might act like he cares about you. And honestly, I'll keep it a buck, bro. I think Ebro didn't fuck with me because I'm a white kid and I was busting ass and hustling. I feel like he was more at to help out young black kids coming up, which is understandable. And I really respect that because there's not enough people doing that. But I'm somebody that I'm helping whoever's working hard. I'm not just helping somebody because they look like me. And like I said, the Jews.
But his man is Rosenberg, though. Rosenberg is his man, though. So like,
Yeah, but I'll let Rosenberg speak on their relationship. That's between them, and they have a different relationship. And I think I'm a little bit more competitive and a little bit more assertive.
got
Like
you.
I'll just leave it at that. Like Rosenberg is very happy with his situation. I want more. Like I think me and Ebro are more alike than me and Rosenberg are because Ebro is like he wants to fucking make moves and set a tone and be in this industry being ruthless. Ebro is like a radio Ari Gold. You know, Rosenberg is more
He's
like
the alpha, right? So then like he kind of felt like you was threatening him in a way, like by
I'll put it like this. Ebro was a program director at the time. Rosenberg is a radio host, broadcaster. Rosenberg's not interested in managing people, running the station. Ebro is interested in like really building teams and being the guy that's in charge. And I'm good whether I'm in charge or not, but like I'm going to speak my mind and talk my shit, whether it's behind the scenes or on the radio. When you're a broadcaster or a host, you're giving opinions on topics and things, but like you're not concerned with like like, you know, Rosenberg is really big on promoting artists and stuff like that. He's not really worried about what decisions the company is making. You know, as
Right.
long as his show is able to run the way he needs it to, and he could be the broadcaster he is, I think he's very happy and he's very successful. My take on Ebro, and the reason I say we're a little more similar, is like we have a different hunger to succeed in the business.
Got you.
You know, like, and not the broadcasting business, like the music industry, like fucking like the office business. So I think that it was just like a weird rapport we had, and I think he always kind of like undervalued me in a lot of ways. Even though I think he saw the work ethic, he would never give me credit for anything.
You
So
was a little more vocal when shit wasn't right, huh?
not even, not
No?
even. I was too scared to talk. And it was like, you know, but I would see how he would like mentor people, and it's like I didn't get that respect at all, bro. Like, you know, it's like I'll put it this way. If a kid came in that didn't look like me and was like working a little bit and trying, Ebro would be like, you should do this or you should do that. Or like, I'll pull up to Apple or pull up. Like with me, it was just like, you're Rosenberg's guy. You're Rosenberg, like, you know, like it didn't
But
even
damn, but you
matter.
was there doing everything that they was asking, so it would only seem right that he would be like, "Yo, I see you working hard. Like, let me take you under my wing and like, you know."
It's not for me to say what's right for another man, you know? And Ebro knows my gangster, and he knows the shit that I've done for him. And, you know, I know the shit he's done for me, man. Like at the end of the day, is, you know, I'm not saying he hasn't done anything for me, you know what I mean? He was in charge of the station. He could have stopped me, and he didn't stop me. You know, he let me be my own man and grow, but he also didn't help me. You
Mm.
know? So it's like I fuck with him and I love him and I really respect him. I really do. I respect his gangster. I respect his business through and through. I respect Flex's gangster and Flex's business. And I think everybody's actions leads to the life that they get and the results that they get. And I think all of us are happy with where we're at. But in the moment, I would have appreciated a little bit more and not respect. Like I looked at these people like family, and, you know, and maybe that was my mistake. Maybe I should have looked at Rosenberg as family and these people as coworkers. And I was a young kid and I didn't.
That's what they say the problem is with the music business, right? Or entertainment, anything in there. Like you're around these people so much that you feel like the relationship is different compared to like you going in a corporate setting where it's like more professional. Like there's like times where things are like a lot more relaxed, so it seems like you guys are more friendly, more like, you know, like friends hanging out doing business together. But people forget that no, at the end of the day, it's just business, whether I talk to you in a certain way or not.
Well, you see, like my thing is maybe in the station it was, but like when Ebro moved, like I helped him move his shit. Like I got a U-Haul, I packed his furniture with E-Styles, like, you know, like we were
Damn.
cool outside of the station, you know, like it really felt like fam. And in retrospect, it's like I was an assistant and he was just throwing me some bread to move that day. But to me, it was like, yo, we're like a family. Like I live here with you guys. Like I'm not close with my fam. Like I'm close with you. Like you guys know me. So it's just like I expected a little bit more of like a big bro as opposed to just like I do me, you do you, and like that's it. Like we leave it at that. And the thing that didn't rub me right with Ebro and Flex is they both unfollowed me when I started doing radio. When I started doing interviews and podcasts, not even at Hot 97, when I started doing it at Party 105 in Long Island, some little small station that like barely anybody could get outside of like Long Island, you know, they unfollowed me and I took that very personally. And maybe I shouldn't have, but I felt like, why are y'all trying to separate yourself from me? Like, and maybe
This was after you left Hot?
no, this is while I was at Hot. I was doing the boards, but like I had also gotten these part-time jobs at like other stations on the
Oh,
weekend,
got you.
and they just started moving a little funny for me, like, you know. And granted, like I was also wilding on Instagram, so maybe they just unfollowed me because like the content I was putting up wasn't their shit. But like at the end of the day, bro, it's just like you guys. I see you every day, and we're supposed to be fam, and you're just gonna unfollow me like while I'm trying to build a career. Like it's kind of corny.
Right.
It is like you should be more supportive, in my opinion. Maybe not in yours, and to each his own. Y'all do you, I'll do me.
I could tell with you, bro, like, and I understand because like I feel like you do things wholeheartedly. Like you have like good intentions, like you want people to be together, like, yo, we looking out for each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not like
Eh,
it's like meaningful, right?
It depends. It's circumstantial. Like I'll say that. Like if I'm playing, like for example, when I play tennis, it's like it's me versus you type shit. But radio, it's like the station is more successful when it's a team sport. The station is less successful when it's individuals trying to use it for their own look. As a community, catering to the community, we could all be great and effective.
Right.
As individuals catering to individuals, we're weaker as a whole. So it wasn't even so much as like it would be great in my life if we could all work together. It was more so as like I'm here, bro, and I live here and I care about this place and I want us to be the best in the city. And y'all are moving in a way where you're separating us and we're not effective. And
Mm,
power is moving like a unit.
got you. Okay, okay.
So that was more my thing is like, yo, like you guys are fucking up what could be a great, powerful team.
So I felt like your interview with Adam 22 was very telling. Like you did not seem happy at all, bro. Like I'm not gonna lie. It seemed like you was getting ready to quit right on air. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it back. I never
Yeah,
watched any of my interviews back, but
you
maybe.
said you actually realized that you liked working behind the scenes and that you didn't really care about being on radio. You even said that you would be okay just being a manager for an artist and that you didn't like the industry politics and like the way that you spoke about it, it was just like, man, like you could just tell. Like, I don't know, like the
Yeah.
time was gonna come or what, you know?
I mean, I was feeling it because like when I first got on air, I was ecstatic, bro. I was like, wow, like I'm finally part of the crew and like we're gonna do some shit. And I saw a lot of people fade and like I really, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done anything different. But like I'll tell you, bro, I would have been way happier staying friends with these guys, having great relationships with them and being behind the scenes. And I think that's a fucked up way to think because a lot of the people that put that status of like who they're friends with and who they have access to over what makes them feel good, it's bad. But you know, when I didn't feel good doing radio because I'm like I'll tell you right now, if I had to come to this real estate office and sell buildings in a suit every day, I wouldn't be happy here. You know, if I had to fucking work at Sleepy's in a suit 11-hour days, like I wasn't happy, bro. But like if you told me I had to work 18 hours with somebody who I enjoy their company, it like doesn't phase me. I'm the happiest guy in the world. So it's like my whole thought of Hot 97 was like, bro, you work hard one day, you could be on a radio station. It would be incredible. Like, what a dream come true. Like, you know, and when I first went to the station with Rosenberg, like to be in these rooms and these studios where like the biggest artists in the world, to sit in chairs that Jay-Z and Snoop and Nas and all these people that I looked up to sat in, I was like such a happy guy. And slowly over time, seeing that these friendships were fake, seeing that certain people didn't care about the city but just about themselves. You know, that kind of just started weighing on me really heavy because I was really there because I love this city and I love the station. And like I can't stress that enough. Like I never took a penny to play a song. I never took bookings at the clubs. I wasn't a kid that liked the club, so I didn't go. Like I didn't do it for money. I did it because I love this city and I grew up running around it like crazy. And I felt like every little pocket, whether it's my cousin doing hair in Astoria or kids in the trenches in Brooklyn, everybody deserves to have an opportunity to be part of what this station represented. And I didn't see that everybody else shared that vision. It was a lot of people trying to just build their followings and their egos and their attentions. And it started to weigh on me real heavy, bro. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be the guy that compromises. Like, I'll never be the guy that's like, well, they're all taking money. I might as well take money. I'd rather be the guy that like is poor as shit but could talk his shit, you know?
So,
And
so
here we
okay.
are. And here
So
we are.
right. So would you say though, like that you wanted more of a sense of like community, but then
I
like
wanted
everybody was out like for themselves?
Yeah, I wanted to feel like we're here doing something, being effective. Look
Right.
at the station, bro. Like I don't have to say shit. Look at where Hot 97 is right now. Look at where it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The only reason Hot 97 was ever on the map is because Funk Flex loved Cold Crush and played that shit. Funk Flex loved Spinning the Tunnel, went hard. It wasn't because they were just playing the shit that was streaming and that was charting. It was because they were putting people on to music and representing for their communities. and they lost that somewhere, and
So the
I didn't want to
passion
be
is
part of
gone.
it. Passion is completely gone in a
Got
lot of
you.
aspects. It became a passion for getting a following as opposed to a passion for like music and community.
Would you say that you went in it like expecting, you know, everybody to like almost like you had the truth like shown to you, like what it's really like behind the scenes, that like, you know, because when you grow up as a hip hop fan, you just thinking, oh, it's really this way. But then when you really get to see the business for what it is, it's like it disappoints a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's like, you know, I had worked at Sleepy's for a while. I saw how a corporate business was run, and I understand there is some compromise. It was more so like, you know, like I'll give you an example in real estate, right? I could call a lady and she could ask me, what's my building worth? And I could just tell her, if it's $1 million building, I could be like, I could tell her it's worth $1 million, or I could tell her it's worth 600,000. And you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell her it's worth $1 million because I want to be a fair guy and I don't want bad karma. And I think it's a good way to do business and it could lead to more business, you know. But if I'm the guy that says it's worth 600,000, now I make 400,000. She gets her six, but then when she finds out I sold it for $1 million, she's going to be like, I'm never working with you again. So it
Right.
was like more people prioritizing these short-term wins, these quick looks that got like, you know, it was like, how can we book an artist that's going to get us a lot of clicks this week? It wasn't like, we love what this guy's doing and they need to come in. It was, you know, this artist could be bubbling, but they're not willing to come to my club. They're not willing to come do an appearance for me. We're not supporting them. But we'll support, you know, these artists that they have a little song and they're willing to pull up. And I started watching that, you know, you'll see an artist have a little run with a song and they do the clubs and then the DJ just discards them. And then there's another artist and they have a little run with a song and then they do the clubs and then a DJ discards them. And I just watched like 3 or 4 artists just get discarded by DJs straight up. And I don't want to say these artists because I don't want them to feel the ways, but like in private conversations, they know who they are. And I have a great rapport with them. And I felt like it's fucked up. Like, why are you going to the hood, pulling this kid out of the hood, playing their song, doing all this shit, making a shit ton of money with them in the hood, and then the song starts getting stale and you don't support any more of their music because now there's another kid you play that same game with. And I was just like, it fucking kills the city because you're just pumping people who are willing to throw money in the club and not pumping artists. And New York is becoming a disposable culture. And we saw it happen, bro. We watched it happen for years and years where it's like, I mean, you can name it. What's the big hit right now? Last year we had every day it was like Sexy Red on the radio. I'm sure it's somebody else now. Now they're doing it with Kyle Rich and you know that Henny record, whatever. It's like every like these artists, they build them the fuck up and then they just throw them away and then another one comes. And they don't do that everywhere, bro. Atlanta got behind Future. Like, you know, Florida got behind Khaled and, you know, LA got behind Kendrick. In New York, when somebody gets behind an artist, it's like, well, she don't write her own shit. Or they didn't, and it's like, no, it's not that. It's they're not coming to the club with you because they want to build a career outside of New York. And I didn't like it for the city. I didn't like it at
So
all
it
for
was
the
like no
city.
long-term investment, like investing in the artist, investing in our own,
I
basically.
I'll put it. I'm gonna say names straight up, and if these people want to call me out, they can. It was like, you remember Fresher had a record. Wait a minute.
Right.
It was like wait a minute. Blew it up, went crazy, dropping bombs, going crazy on it. Starts sloping. Then it's like Young Ma. Ooh, that goes for a little bit, slopes off. Then it's like Casanova, slopes off. Then it's 6ix9ine, slopes off. And it was just like one after another that was just getting like exploited with club runs, bro. And I'm just like, all right, like, and not for nothing with respect to all those artists. And I think they're all talented and all have other records. There's so many artists that have like hits. And bro, it's like, okay, well, why are you blasting this song but not playing like this Juice World record or this Uzi record? And they didn't support it, bro, at all. And then I'm like, I'm playing the Uzi record. I'm playing the Juice World record. It starts kind of going. Rosenberg's playing it. It starts kind of going. And now all of a sudden it's like, yo, we've been behind this since day one. And I'm just like, bro, y'all ain't supporting shit. Y'all just running with whatever's hot. And and you're not setting the tone, you're riding the wave. And I don't respect it. And as somebody who was going out every night really in these streets at all these events and going to showcases and open mics, and I'm like, bro, there's so much talent out here and y'all just playing this game, and these kids are like coming to me like, yo, how do I get on the radio? And I'm like, well, you kind of just have to book one of these DJs for a club appearance and pay them 5-10 grand, and for as long as you could do that, you'll get your record spun. Like,
That's crazy.
but then the DJs be like, well, I don't take money to spin records. Like, yeah, they're not paying you to spin the record. They're paying you to come DJ their party. And because you're DJing their party, now you're spin. Like,
Semantics.
it's just it's a racket. And I didn't like it. And I didn't do my shit like that. And it cost me a ton of money because I wouldn't just let people. I turned down interviews with 6ix9ine, bro. I'm like, I don't support it. I don't like it. This energy is off. The music is great, but this kid's wild and I don't want it around me. I didn't get millions of views. Like, I was really a man of principle and a man of my word. And I did what was in my opinion, best for the culture of New York City. So it's like when I'm seeing these guys that I look up to that built careers on doing things like that, and now they're doing things the opposite way. I understand you got bills now, you're older, you got homes, you have cars, you have a certain appearance to keep up. But it's like, that's not why I got into this industry. And that's not hip hop. And it's just like, I don't respect it. And once I lost respect, it's like, that's it. Now we competing.
That's hard though, bro. Like, it's hard to be real as you're talking about in an industry that is so fake though.
Yeah, bro. I had a lot of pain, man. I've had a lot of frustration and pain and stress over this fucking music industry. And again, I signed up to be like, I say with real estate is everybody wants to sell buildings. Nobody wants to call 100 people a day. Nobody wants to get on the phone and be calling people all day, every day, but everybody wants that check for 100 grand after they sell a building. And it's like, I got into the music industry because I wanted to hammer the phones. I didn't get in there for the check. And, I'm hammering the phones, and y'all got in here because you wanted to hammer the phones and play the music. But now the check came, and it's like, well, how can I get more of those with doing less of that? And it's just like, at a point, like even if I stayed on radio, even if I kept doing a show, even if I found success in it, I would have never been the dude that was like 35, 40 years old playing the new shit. I wouldn't have been on the radio right now bumping Yeet. I might have bumped him in the car, but like there's new kids coming up that deserve that. Like, like big up Zach Baez out here fucking, these kids are in their 20s and that's their generation, their culture, and their listeners. They're not my listeners. I might appreciate the music, but I'm not going to the Kyle Rich party. You know what I'm saying? I'm too old for that shit now. Honestly. And it's like, and it's my responsibility to find the kid that is going to that party and going into work the next morning and seeing a community to get them in a position where they could relay that information, because I'm not going out to get it. So somebody else needs to come be on the radio and be like, I was in the Kyle Rich shit last night. It was a movie. It was this and that. Instead of me being in there like, yo, the Kyle Rich party was all that. It's like these kids talking different. They look different. They sound different. You got to have that. The community deserves it. The city deserves it. They don't deserve some guy coming on like, you heard that new Lil Uzi Vert? It was slapping. It was awesome. Like, it's just, you got to appreciate your culture and your generation and evolve with grace.
Right. So you ended up getting fired from Hot 97, and the reasoning for the firing was real suspect, right? Can you take us through that day of the firing, like play by play, like how that happened?
Yeah, 3 years before they let me go, I was driving through Brooklyn with this kid that used to be my assistant, Alex Radican. Fuck that guy. But Alex Radican was driving me around Brooklyn. We were going to whatever event. And
wait. You can't just say fuck that guy. Like, why?
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay,
all
right.
So this kid, I bring this kid on to be my assistant, right? And honestly, he messaged me on Facebook. He said he met my mom and her boyfriend somewhere, and they told him that I could help him and rah, rah, rah. And I told you, I didn't have a relationship with my mom at all. So this kid messaged me that, and I'm like, wow, my mom's out here just bragging about me. Meanwhile, like, what the fuck? Like, I did this solo dolo, I'm on radio. And Obviously with help from Rosenberg and other people, but like my work is what got me here. My mom ain't really helped me with that. And I felt bad. I'm like, this kid got gassed up that he was gonna get an opportunity from them, and he's messaging me, and like they're not gonna get, and they're like, if my mom called me, was like, can you help this kid? I'd be like, ha ha ha. So I felt bad for the kid. I was like, come through, we could chop it up, and maybe we'll see what we could do. And I brought this kid on to be like how I was for Rosenberg. I was hoping he would be for me. And he wanted to DJ. He wasn't focused. The first job I gave him was taking the curses out of songs. He left the curses in the songs. I played it on the radio. It was like fucking my job up. So I'm driving through Brooklyn before all the shit hit the fan with this kid. I'm driving through Brooklyn with him, and we're going to an event. And there's a homeless dude in the street sitting there in front of the car in the light screen. And this dude looks crazy. Like, he's dressed crazy, everything. And I don't know if you ever seen like Nems, like the Fuck Your Life videos where he's just like ripping people. So I used to do something called Fashion Police, where I would just like drag people based like just cut ass based on what they wearing or whatever. So I put my phone out. I make fun of this homeless dude. I'm just like roasting him. I put it on my Instagram. It like adds automatically to my Facebook. I get like a lot of comments on it, whatever. And it just sits there. 3 years later, I let go of this kid. I'm at the radio station, and my boss calls me the next day. Like I do the overnight, I get home, and it's Halloween, and my boss is like, somebody just emailed the guy that runs the company that owns Hot 97 a video of you making fun of a homeless person. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they send me the video, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this was like 3 years ago. I was like cooking this guy. And they're like, he doesn't think it's funny. It was like an old white dude. This guy, Charlie, saw the video, doesn't think it's funny, is like, this isn't funny. They're making fun of homeless people. He's supposed to be a professional broadcaster. Fires me on the spot. Fuck that, because a year later, y'all was having Nems do every interview in the station for doing the same shit that I did. So fuck y'all for that. But they fired me because I made fun of a homeless guy. I think they fired me because of that Adam 22 interview. Honestly, I think that's the real reason. And after that interview, they were waiting, because I feel like really what happened is the last year I was there, I started dating a girl from California that was like pretty lit. And I kind of was like more in the industry. She was like a big deal around like a lot of big industry people. And I think they were just insecure that like I was making plays without them. And like that year, I was really making plays, bro. I got booked to do like Rolling Loud shit. I had those guys come do a takeover. I had, Rich the Kid come in. We went viral. YB and Namir came in. We went viral. I was going viral left and right on the internet. Like World Star posted me in my Rugas skit. So like that year, I was really like transitioning from just like this overnight guy to like one of the staples in New York, like a personality. And the Adam 22 interview happened, and I just spoke openly. And I think after that, they were like, nah, we can't control this guy. He's got to go. And then that was their excuse to just, because if that would have happened with anybody else, Ebro would have stepped up and made sure that their man, I'll put it this way. There's a couple of guys that were in the news a few times for terrible things, and they got 4 or 5 opportunities, suspended maybe, but not even. Like me, it was like, bye.
Right. Just like that. That's what's so crazy is like it wasn't even like a talk, a warning or anything. Like it was not like you was consistently fucking up.
And you can't go find anything about me fucking up. You can't go. It's not like the video went viral and like I was on the news as like Hot 97 radio host does this. It was sent from an email address called forrestgump@gmail.com. And at the time, I was really trying to be healthy, bro. I was running every day. I lost weight. I was calling myself Forrest Gump on the internet. So somebody literally, and I found out it was that Alex Radican kid that was my assistant. He sent it to them from some fucking bullshit email address. But like, it was like a bitter old assistant sends a video that nobody gives a shit about. And now y'all are taking my career that I've been working for free for 10 years.
How did you find out that it was him?
First, I thought it was somebody else. And I like pressed them, and because I had beef with this guy that ran this record label. He had like done some fucked up shit with some girls, and I like called him out on it, and it was like a whole thing. But one of the girls, she told me, she was like, she knew my assistant, and he told her that it was him.
Wow.
Like bragging about it, like, haha. And she was like, that's not funny. And then like she told me, and I was just like, wow. And I seen him. I told him I seen him in Miami one time. I was down there with my boy Jo. We went into this like 50 Cent party, and he was like standing outside of the party. And when I was walking out, I seen him, and I just whispered in his ear, I'm like, "You lucky I don't fuck you up, bro." But I'm like a man of peace, you know. So I just let it rock. But yeah, fuck that kid, man, because I really tried to help that kid out. And the only reason he didn't work with me is because he wasn't focused on the job. He was focused on being lit. And he messaged my ex about linking with one of her artists, and he was not doing what he needed to do as an assistant. And instead of taking ownership of that, he was like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Man, because I saw the interview that you did like right after that, right? After you got fired. And it was like so raw. Like you really said how you felt. You didn't care. You could tell like you had to like figure things out, you know, at that point, like what were you going to do? But it was like at the same time you felt like relieved, like
Yeah, bro.
finally. Because like as you had been trying to find a new job for a while, you wanted to leave radio.
Well, yeah, I had interviewed with Nick Cannon to do the morning show at Power 106 in LA like a year before that. You know, I was trying to move out there. I was talking to that girl. Like I wasn't trying to be at Hot anymore at that point because I didn't feel like it was home. I saw I wasn't going anywhere with it. And I'm really, like I said, bro, I'm not about my attention or fame. If anything, I'd rather be able to walk in the street. Like I'm more about like I just want to do things that make me happy and bring me joy. And that shit wasn't bringing me no joy. And you know, I prioritize my well-being, bro. I want to be a guy that like owns a house and could afford his bills. I don't want to be somebody that's 50 years old living check to check at the radio station. And there's plenty of people that are doing that.
That's what was so crazy is because you were saying like you made more money selling mattresses than you did being a radio host. Like that's to people, they're like, wait, you're on the radio. Like, aren't you like loaded? Like, aren't you like just like swimming in money? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, nah, bro. I made so much more money selling mattresses, like 4 times the money. You know, it was really like radio did not treat me good or with respect or anything. And I had a blast. I met a lot of people. It was the best experience in my 20s. But as I approached my 30s, like I wanted to have a career. And I just saw that I was never going to have that there.
Like, how do you even live in New York like that though? Like the way that
You
you were saying, like you was like
you
what
live at
making like
Sleepy's, bro. You like live at a Sleepy's. What you think this is, man? I was really like, when I talk shit, like I really live this shit, bro. That's why I'm not afraid to say things because it's like I have the receipts, bro. I have the pictures. I'm the real deal when it comes to this shit. Like I really run around here and I earn every stripe I get. And people in the streets or people in the offices, they're gonna tell you I'm the real deal because I really go hard to be a man of my word and a stand up guy before anything. If somebody offered me $1 million right now, and they needed me to compromise a moral, they could keep their fucking money. And when it came to radio and the music, straight up, I would have died for that shit, bro. Honestly, like if it came to the point where like somebody wanted to fucking kill me because of something I said, I'm still saying my shit and I'll take that repercussion. Honestly, like you know, and that's that one thing that was a blessing of getting in all the trouble I got in is it taught me to not be scared of shit. I really will die for my morals, whether it's radio, real estate, or anything else.
you know, in the interview with Adam, right? Like you were bigging him up a lot for having his own podcast and being able to do things his own way on his own time. Did that eventually lead to like why you did like the mic meetings and stuff? Because you were trying to see if that would work for you.
I don't know. For me, I love having the connections. Like if I could do like what we're doing right now every day, I think there's a lot of value in genuine conversation, and I don't think there's a lot of platforms that support it. You know, let's be honest, bro. You're gonna put this up as radio host Hip Hop Mike tells his story, and you're not gonna get a shit ton of clicks. But you could put up a
Mhm.
video like Sexy Red pops her ass for 5 minutes straight, and you're gonna get 1 million views. So it's
Right.
like Mike Meetings was more like I don't need the money and I'm able to have the conversations and I know what to do as far as like how to make it official, like honest, like to a certain standard. So it's like that's why I did it because it is a passion and it's like a joy. It's like if you love, you know, riding bikes, you're gonna ride bikes forever. You know what I mean? It's like that's your thing. So you know, I wanted to do mic meetings more so because I wanted to be able to have these conversations without anybody telling me how to speak, what to say, what needed to be played, how long they needed to be. And like I really respect like the Joe Rogans of the world for that, that they're able to just talk shit and it helps people internationally and it's not about anything other than just genuine connection.
Yeah, but when you got the bread right, there ain't no pressure to do things certain way though, you know?
Nah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying though. Like, see, like I totally
It was
understand.
never about the bread. It was never about the bread, bro. I wasted so much bread. I spent probably $15,000 doing mic meetings between getting equipment, building the studio, renting the apartment that I rented, everything. And I didn't make any money off of it. But I have great content, I had great conversations, and that 15 racks is worth every single person that came through the crib and that spent some time with me, you know? I would have paid double for their time.
But what I'm saying though is like, were you like pressed for money during that time? Like, were you struggling financially?
Not mic meetings. Nah, mic meetings, I was rich as fuck.
See, but that's
I
what I'm saying though.
honestly,
That's what I'm saying. Like, but if you press for money, there's a lot more pressure to like, damn, do I gotta, you know, do the wave of the internet? How it's like more like clickbaity, is more drama, is more to get the
yeah,
views, to get the
nah.
money. You know what I'm saying? Because like what you're saying, right? You said that when you having these meaningful conversations like you and I are having, it's not gonna get a lot of views, right? But it's the more
Nah.
meaningful thing to your soul because you connected with a person, right? That's why, like, when I make content, I have the to you know, I'm capturing somebody's story from the very beginning because that's what's most important to me. It's like being able to present somebody in the best light. Like the drama, those clips, I already know that's what's going to sell the interview, right? That's what's going to keep the lights
Mm-hmm.
on. But to me, that's not what's really most important. Like I gotta
Yeah.
play the game a little bit because you know what I'm saying? I gotta still make some bread, but to me, that's not the most important thing. But it's hard because you see how the internet is and with social media and all the bullshit and like what people value. And it's hard to, you know,
Yeah.
kind of sometimes to step away from it.
I mean, for me, honestly, bro, it was like, even with playing the game, I never did it, bro. I was like, I'll work at the radio station and do some haircuts to pay my bills. Like, I'm not playing that game. Like, I really was never. I never took a penny. I never hosted a strip club, nothing. I didn't do shit, honestly, besides just go to the station, play the artists I fucked with. You know, I would book on Tuesdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, like 5, 6 interviews back to back, and I would have like on the same night, like Neek Bucks, Coyle Ray, Tyler Yahweh, like they would pull up back to back to back, and I would do interviews and like fight with the radio station to try to get them to post them. And like a lot of shit didn't get posted.
Wow.
I was doing shit that like wasn't getting me even nothing just to do it because I love to do it. And it's crazy that I saw like the fact that I just love to do it was being effective online, but like I never paid for like a marketing company. I never did like articles. And maybe that's to my demise. Like I have a lot of friends that they pay publicists and do stuff and they do very well in that industry. But me, it was like, I'm gonna do this 100% genuine and organic, period. One, because I can't afford to do it the other way. And two, because even if I could afford to do it that way, I like wouldn't do it. Like I'd put that money towards buying property like my cousins or my uncles or whatever had, and like all that shit. So I don't know, man. It's to each his own, but it wasn't sitting right with me at a point where I'm like, I'm doing all this work and getting nothing for it, and it's just making my situation around the people I respect worse.
Yeah, because you know, I was trying to find more of your interviews, right? Like ones where you're interviewing people. I couldn't really
They
find
wouldn't post
any.
shit, bro. They wouldn't post shit. And it's like, and I could show you, bro. Honestly, fuck this guy. There was a guy, I think his name Mike Fox, was it? I think his name was Mike Fox, bro. They hired this guy, Mike Fox, to fucking run the digital department. Let me show you something, bro. April 2019, right? Hey, Mike, shot an interview a few weeks ago. I'm still waiting on the edit, just checking in, right? Look, second email, following up again, right? So the first email was 4/19. Second email is May 1st. The third email, May 7th. Coil Ray is ready, right? They sent me the Coil Ray email. And I said, we went back and forth, right? This is the baby interview. I'm gonna count exactly how many. Hold up. I wanna make sure I get this right. I asked Mike Fox about this DaBaby interview 10 times. When are we posting DaBaby interview? I did an interview with DaBaby for 45 minutes 2 weeks after he had that whole shooting at Walmart.
Wow.
And he told me the whole story. He's like, I was there with my baby moms. We was in the baby aisle. I seen this dude come around. He told me the whole story 2 weeks after this shit happened. He didn't even drop baby on baby yet. He came in, he was wearing North Face, no jewelry, had no money, nothing. And I'm asking Mike to post this fucking interview 10 times over the course of 2-3 months. It never went up. And I'm just like, is there an agenda to like not let my shit? I'm taping it myself. I'm recording the audio. I'm editing it. I'm literally handing you guys an interview. All you have to do is hit post, and it never went up. And I think it's because the interviews that did go up, when I first started, they sent cameras and they did all of it, and they went up, and I went viral. And I think after that, it never went up.
Some people were hating, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna show you something, but yeah, man, I really feel like it wasn't going because, like, to tell you the truth, bro, I think there was a situation between Akademiks and somebody over there, and Akademiks jumped on his shit and was like, that's why the overnight guy is getting more views than y'all. And that's what led to like a lot of salty shit at the radio station.
And Akademiks had a strong voice at that time too. So like people was really jacking it.
Yeah, I mean, Akademiks is a piece of shit, bro. Honestly, like he's not a good guy. But at the time, he was beefing with them, and he kind of brought me into it. Like he didn't know me at all, and I was just an overnight dude, and he was kind of just using me to shit on them. Like
right.
the biggest interview was with YBN Namir, and with some overnight guy, and I think that just rubbed them the wrong way. And then after that, it was like the studio flooded. I couldn't do interviews for a couple months. It was like all this dicky shit was happening behind the scenes to just slow me down. And
let me ask you about that though. Why do you think Akademiks is not a good guy?
Well, I mean, I'll say this: Akademiks. At first, the first time I ever interacted with Akademiks, I don't know if you're familiar with the producer, 16-year-old. He's like, he got to drop. He's like 16-year-old. I think he produced a lot of like shit for like Shaq and a couple other people. But him and Akademiks were like beefing in his comments one day, and I jumped in the comments and I was like, to 16-year-old, I'm like, man, don't listen to this guy, bro. Like you're a kid, you just coming up, man. Just keep going. And Akademiks was just cooking him about some shit that I knew nothing about. They was just beefing about whatever bullshit. And it's just like, I felt bad because I'm like, bro, Akademiks like twice this kid's age, and he's on some like shitting on this kid, and this kid's like 16 making beats, and it's like, why are you telling him like he's a loser? Like, so I literally jumped in this kid's comments like, man, don't listen to him, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. And then Akademiks blocked me on Instagram. Right?
Wow.
So that happened. Then he dragged me into the shit with him in the station on some like the next biggest interview was with this guy, the overnight guy, and he didn't say my name, but at the time I feel like maybe he knew my name. I don't know. It's just weird. He was just doing all this weird shit. Then I seen him at a Post Malone show. He like looked at me and acted mad dicky. I went to go talk to him. He just like turned around. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're just like a cornball. So it was like those few interactions. And then, fast forward, time went by and I cooked him. I was like, fuck it. He had gotten mad trouble for like drinking and driving or something. He got arrested. And I said something about it on the radio. I became friends with this guy, Lil Tracy, that was like fucking his girl behind the scenes. And then Akademiks just like went off on me one day. He called me like retarded and all this shit. So it was just, I've always had drama with Akademiks for no reason.
Do you respect what he's been able to do though?
No, not at all. I don't respect none of that shit. Honestly, because it's like, what have you done? It's like, I respect somebody that's like, that puts together content and like really supports like the culture. I ain't even mad if you're doing commentary, but like to create drama to feed off it, that's crazy. That's like starting a fire to put it out and be like, I'm the hero. I stopped that fire. It's like, if he didn't start the fire, if he was just out here putting out fires, or if he was just a professional at starting fires, I'd respect either one. I'd be like, wow, that guy's the best at starting fires, or that guy's the best at putting them out. But to start them and then want praise for putting them out, I'm like, bro, you're just a fucking gimmick. Like,
all right. Well, let's keep it funky though. Don't you think that in today's content world, from No Jumper to like, you know what I mean, the Whack 100, like all these guys, right? Don't you think that this has become the new wave though?
100%. And I think it's the new wave because of fucked up people that are insecure that don't want to do the work. Plain and simple. Like, I think it's the wave because these DJs would rather have disposable artists that they're going to maximize money with instead of creative artists that want to retain a lot of their money. You know, I think it's the waves because it's easier to get attention for like videotaping yourself giving a homeless guy money instead of just giving the guy money. Like,
Right.
it's not productive. And in my opinion, to tell you the truth, I feel like a lot of the people that, you know, are in the industry, I'll put it like this. I could sign two kids, right? I could sign a kid that's been making music his whole life, study the industry, understands how his publishing pays, understand how his stuff works, and I could have a great business relationship with a kid that we're 50-50, or I could find a kid that gets just as many views but is a complete idiot, give him 10 grand, make him happy as shit because it's the biggest amount of money he's ever seen, and then keep 90% of his shit. And if he doesn't do well, I'll just write off the money the 10 grand. And then I don't owe anybody anything. So it's like, it's easier business. You get what I'm saying? It's like, it's much easier to just be like, hey, fucking, I'm going to sign this kid that is going to get 1 million streams and I'm going to make 90% of the money, as opposed to signing this kid that's going to get 1 million streams, but wants to split it 50-50 because he knows his shit. So it's just like,
But how do you feel about the people that are actually making the content with the podcasting and stuff? Like, you see all these channels where, you know, it's primarily centered around drama. Like, how do you feel about that?
If you're making content, if you're doing something that's like you're putting work in, by all means, you know, and Akademiks, I feel like if he was creating videos and doing all this, by all means, but just going on rants about things that are like drama filled is like, all right, like it's,
Oh, so like you're saying, like, because he goes live and he's just breaking down everything that's going on in hip hop, and then how he'll go on his rants about situations at
even
times.
if he was doing that, even if he was breaking down everything that was going on in hip hop, that means he's sitting down and he's looking at everything and breaking it down. My man's is gonna scroll through and be like, okay, that's some drama. I'm gonna talk about that. That's positive. We're not gonna talk about that. That's drama. This guy don't fuck with me, even though he fucks with other people and people like, and it's just like, again, it's like starting the fire and then wanting praise for putting it out, man. Is like either be about starting it or being about putting it out. But like to have your cake and eat it too is just like you're taking from the culture. Like I'm really like, I'm so for the people, man. It's to a flaw because it's like anybody could do that. I could go out here and play some kid that just burps on records on Hot 97 and everybody's going to talk about it because they'll be like, you heard that song last night? I heard a kid just burping for 3 minutes straight, and everybody will talk about it and they'll look me up and I'll get a bunch of following. But what did I really do? What I really did was just take advantage of this kid or take advantage of the kid that is making music. You get what I'm saying? It's like, I'm just like fucking people over, bro.
What do you think about like No Jumper then and what they've been able to do as far as
Adam
over there?
is full of drama all day, every day. And there's a place for housewives. There's a place for Adam. Like if Akademiks sat down and like produced a podcast and did some shit, I'd be like, all right.
I mean, he does have a podcast though, right? I don't think he does it that often though, but like,
I think Akademiks is like somebody probably approached him and was like, yo, just come talk shit here and we'll give you a bunch of money. Like, I mean, and granted, I don't know. Like, I can say this. I appreciate that he's built such a big following.
That's what I was trying to ask you. Like,
of course, yeah. Anybody who could build a following, like that takes work, and I appreciate it. I appreciate Kim Kardashian, and she really, you know, it's like the same kind of shit. But at the end of the day, it's just like it does more damage than it does good. Like that's just how I feel. Like if you could do that without people suffering, by all means, but you're not making the industry a better, more lucrative, profitable place. You're making it a more vindictive, grimy, degenerate place. And I really believe that through that, by supporting the people like that, you're creating more kids that want to fucking carry guns and buy jewelry. And you're not creating more people that are going to build a culture that we can take pride in. And, we're seeing it. A lot of the kids that this guy has talked about have been killed, bro. A lot of them are in a lot of dangerous situations. And we never had that before. We didn't have that with journalists and shit. We had that with bloggers and the commentators.
What about Vlad?
I mean, Vlad too, man. Honestly, like, I think Vlad is like, I understand you have to ask the question, and I do believe a lot of the people Vlad talks to should be more prepared. But it's like, it's like really behind the scenes. Like, what's your take on what would you say about Vlad? Right? Like
I would say for Vlad, you really do got to respect what he's been able to accomplish, because he really created how people produce content now in YouTube, right? He was doing it before a lot of people, how he's doing the one clip per day. So many channels follow that whole situation, like that format, so he's done a lot. Now, as far as like the type of questions he asks, of course you can be critical of that, but I do think that he does his research a lot. So there are good things. I don't think that it's all one way or the other. Like, I can appreciate certain things, and other things it's not really for me.
See, so I agree with you 100% on that. But I'll also add that most artists that end up on Vlad, right? They're part of a team or a label or something where the label is connecting them with Vlad. So Vlad is getting a booking, right? So the label is going to the artist like, we're going to set up a press run. You're going to sit on all these big podcasts. You're going to do Vlad today. You're going to do Hot 97 in the morning. You're going to do this in the afternoon. We're going to create this press run for you. So an artist goes into it like, damn, I'm going to get to talk about all the shit I'm working on, all the shit I'm doing. The artist isn't going into it like if they went to the artist and said, we're going to put you on a platform with a guy that's going to ask you the most provocative questions that might get you into some slippery situations in your personal life, but will get you a lot of following. I'd be curious how many artists show up for that interview. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like, that's my issue with it. It's not that he's doing what he does. I understand he's doing what he does, and that's his job. And from his perspective, the artist should know better. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they don't know better. And he should appreciate that they don't know better and make that clear that I'm going to be asking you some questions that are provocative. That's what I do. You don't have to answer, but if you choose to answer, I'd appreciate it, and we'd probably go viral. Then ask any question you want. But
well, the provocative and you know what I mean? The drama ones, okay, but when you're talking about the criminal based ones that could potentially get you, that's where it's really dangerous.
And he knows what he's doing. They don't always know what they're signing up for. And that's my issue with it, is if there's a full transparency and there's a full disclosure, this guy is in the media industry 20 plus years. So he's familiar with what he's doing. He knows exactly what's working for him. A kid that's 20 years old that's just there because their label set them up with a podcast, they don't expect that, and they're not media trained, and the only people winning are Vlad and the label. Now this kid just got exploited.
Wait. Let me push back a little bit, okay? Because if you're in the music industry, or if you know the culture at all, you know who Vlad is, right? So you know his reputation and the kind of stuff that he asks. So can you really not fault the person coming on? You already know to expect this from Vlad, right? So you should be on point.
I think you should know, but at the same time, I'm also not naive to the fact that a lot of these kids are young. They have no fucking idea who Vlad is. They signed to a label based on a song, and they just don't know. They've never been being an artist signed to a label. This is a job that you just took. You get what I'm saying? This isn't if a label signs a kid, they're like, yo, your music's great and we're going to help you get it out to the world. The label's not going to the kid like, hey, we're going to give you kind of a shitty split, and if you fuck up, we're going to write it off and we'll be good, but you're going to be in debt for a long time. They don't disclose these things. So it's It's very easy for a kid to go from making a song, going viral, getting approached by people who do know these things and don't disclose them, and now they're in an environment that they're not familiar with. And it's for me and you to say, I know Vlad 100%. I know Vlad. I've seen it for years. For a kid from the hood that doesn't watch Vlad, how the fuck are they supposed to know, bro?
Who doesn't watch Vlad though? Come Come
Bruh.
on, like,
Bruh.
I mean,
Bruh.
come on.
Not everybody watches Vlad. I don't watch Vlad. I know who he is. I'm familiar, but I don't watch his shit every day. You know?
No, not every day, but I mean, like, you know,
Do you think
things will come up on the feed
do you
that,
think,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
you think XXX and 21 Savage are going home to watch Vlad interviews, or like you think these guys like are just sitting at home watching Vlad all day? Like maybe they've seen a clip or two, but like
that's what I mean. So
yeah.
you know who he is, right? Or
But
like,
there's a big difference. If I go on your Instagram, you went on my shit, right? You looked at all my shit.
right.
But but this conversation, I'm sure is so much more informative than anything you're getting online about me. You know?
Yeah.
And when you put a kid in front of Vlad, it's not just a clip that you're making. He's sitting with you for 2 hours and me and you are talking. I'm open, but I know that you could very well go back to your computer, export this, clip out the part of me talking about Flex and Ebro, manipulate it however the fuck you want, and put it out there. I know 100% you could do that. And I say what I say knowing that. Another kid doesn't know that. Another kid doesn't understand that the export after this is going to take 2 hours. We spoke about this before this interview. Most kids don't even realize how important it is to show up on time because they don't realize how much work you put in.
Right.
So when a kid gets booked on 6 interviews for the day and one of them happens to be Vlad, maybe he's heard of Vlad, but I know damn well I've interviewed big artists at Hot 97 that are from the middle of nowhere and have no idea what Hot 97 is. And they're just there because their label radio rep sent them there and they're just doing an interview that they think is for the internet and they don't know how many followers the station has. And they're like, oh, well, it's New York. They probably got a following. It's a big studio. But like they don't know that I'm gonna fucking.
All right, you got a point. You got a point. All right, I'll give it to you.
Like,
I'll give
bro,
it to you. You got a
it's,
point.
but we don't just see it in music. Like, look at the politicians. These politicians tell us they're passing all these bills, and then they sneak all this shit in. So it's and it's like defending them. It's like, well, you know that they're politicians. You should expect it. It's like
that's a fact.
But
that's
no,
a fact.
when somebody's telling me that they're morally responsible and that they care about me all day in this country, and then they sneak shit in. It's like, you know, it's like you get bamboozled, bro. And the younger and more naive you are, the easier it is to happen. And I'm not saying that I don't get it. I just don't respect it. I could appreciate it without respecting it. I appreciate Akademiks. I appreciate Vlad. I appreciate all of them because I respect the hustle, but I don't respect what it does to the culture. And I can't, bro. It's like, you know, it's not that they don't that there's not a place for them, but it's like the way that a lot of these people operate is like, if you're going to sign one kid that you do a fair deal with and one kid that you do an unfair deal with, at least there's a balance there. But if it's just like I'll give you an example, right? It's when people were selling weed back in the day and then crack came out, everybody's like, well, I can sell something for that's cheaper to buy. I don't care if it's twice as bad for people. It's cheaper for me and the returns are better, you know?
Right,
and then it's like, and then you get the crack era, you know? It's like, it's the same shit. It's like Akademiks is a very smart guy. He's very aware of the industry. He understands social media. He understands production. He understands how algorithms work. He could use that for some level of helping people, some level of making the world a better place. He doesn't just have to use it to fucking make his world what he thinks is a better place. And more times than not,
I get what you're saying.
And more times than not, they do. They use it to make their world a better place. And it doesn't work because they just are hated more. And it's like attention doesn't equal like good vibes, you know? Like Akademiks is a very neurotic, stressed out, fucking crazy guy. You know, like he doesn't leave his crib. You know, Flex.
That's why he's drinking that Henny. He be drinking that Henny all the time.
I would be drinking Henny too if I had to watch my back everywhere I go. And if and I'll tell you right now, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but I could if I had to bet that he didn't enjoy that, if Akademiks had the opportunity to be well respected and be able to go anywhere and do anything, I guarantee you that would give him a more fulfilling life than fucking locking himself in a room and drinking Henny and justifying that misery with, well, I got a lot of people that watch me and I'm the coolest guy. It's like, but do you feel cool, bro? I bet not.
Got you.
Otherwise, you put that bottle down and get healthy, bro.
So being in the industry, there's a lot of politics. It's a lot of stuff you got to deal with, right? Was there a lot of instances that made you feel like uncomfortable, or like where you were propositioned to make like certain decisions that didn't align with your personal beliefs?
I mean, no, I think any decision that could have been made, I would have had to make. And like, I just wasn't doing it. But nobody ever pushed me. Nobody was like, yo, you got to play that record. You got to, like, I think also I've always been very like outspoken about what I'm like willing to do. And I think people know that like I'm not somebody that like I watch a lot of the Joe Rogan podcast. He's like, don't tell me a secret because I'm gonna say it on air. It's just like who I am. Like I'm kind of the same way, bro. I'm like, if I feel like something's not right, I'm gonna just speak up on it and take it or leave it. Even if it's not a popular opinion, I'm gonna say it. If in any aspect, I'm gonna tell you what it is.
Because you were saying like the industry or radio, right, was like high school. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of like different popularity clicks and everything. Like talk about that.
I mean, if you ever had like a girl ask you if she looks fat, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
supposed to say no, right?
Right.
But I'll put it this way, there's some girls you say no to because it's like they need that confidence boost. Other girls you might be like, yo, if I'm a trainer and you're asking me, I'm gonna tell you, yo, you might be a little overweight, but you could do X, Y, and Z. I'm somebody that like if something's off with me, if you see that like if I'm talking too much, I want you to tell me like, yo, maybe you should listen more. That would be helpful for you. Like I take that constructive criticism and I don't take it personal. You get what I'm saying? If
Mm.
somebody says like, yo, you dress a little bummy, you should, if you polished up it, you probably get this. If somebody's willing to drop a gem on me, I might not want to hear it, but like I could appreciate the honesty. What I don't appreciate is when somebody just tells me what the fuck I want to hear, and then we both go our separate ways, and they just like talk shit about me behind my back, and I continue to fuck up at what I'm fucking up at.
Right. Got you. Okay. So it's kind of like the smile in your face type of shit.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, bro. I had this guy, I got a job, one of my longest friends. I've been friends with this kid 30 years. I got him a job in real estate. This kid, he's never really been social. I met him when I was a kid. We lost touch for years and then we ran into each other again like 10 years ago and we got very close again. And but we were very different. I became more outgoing and social. I moved around a lot. He stayed in the same place forever, didn't make a lot of friends, kind of got on the computer. So he's socially awkward. So I get him a job with me in real estate. He's a smart guy. I think he's going to be very talented with it. But he's just like, he's making up stories about shit to people we work with to try and impress them. Right. And I'm not somebody like I don't go up to the kid and I'm like, hey, like you're a liar, like stop lying to people. I go up to the kid like, listen, bro, some of the things that you're saying I know aren't true and they might not know it, but like think about who you're really lying to because you're only telling yourself these things and like you should be proud of yourself, man. Like you're a good guy. Like, you should take pride in that. Like you don't have to make shit up. And it's like, sure enough, this kid kept making shit up, built a resentment for me because I'm telling him the truth and I'm not just like, giving a thumbs up to his lies. Somebody coming to me like, this kid said so and so. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. You got to talk to him, And fast forward, this kid he messaged this girl I'm with, like he messaged this girl I'm talking to. And even in that situation, anybody else is going to be like, yo, I'm going to fuck this kid up. Why are you messaging my girlfriend? I sat down with this dude, bro, and I'm like, yo, like, what's going on with you? Like, is there an insecurity? Like, are you jealous of me? Like, what is it? Because I know you don't like the girl. She's not like your type. We're together. Like, she's not going to be with you. So, like, what's going on internally? I'm not mad at you. Like, I want you to be a better guy. Like, I want you to be proud of yourself and talk to somebody that appreciates you for you. And this kid, he personally, he didn't get it. But I feel like that's how you get somewhere. Me just punching the kid in the face. Now he hates me, I hate him, and nothing happens. But if he's receptive to that
Right.
conversation, maybe he's like, damn, yo, Mike could have punched me in the face. And instead he sat down and really made me think about things. And like I could be better. And I appreciate that, like, you didn't take it personal and like that you saw it for what it was and not what your ego saw it as.
Let me ask you
So
though, how hard was it for you to reach that point where like that was your
I
reaction?
learned it with my mom years ago, bro, honestly, because when my mom went through that shit with my dad. She wasn't nice to him and everything. And for a long time, I was mad at her about it. And I realized one day, I'm like, if I started looking at my parents as people, and I think a lot of people, when they do that, it's a life-changing thing because, I'm like, this isn't like my mom who's just like mad at my dad and I'm suffering from it. This is like a woman who spent 15 years with a guy that she trusted and loved, and he was very secretive, and she feels very like lied to, and now she has a wall up. And I don't want to be somebody who puts walls up. So I had to learn, like, you know what? I have to be more understanding. I have to learn how to forgive and forget. I have to learn how to just kind of be somebody that walks, in like a more stoic way. You know what I'm saying? And it when I started practicing that, it benefited me so much, because again, even in this situation with this kid, I love this kid to death. And in a perfect world, he would be the guy he is, and we would be making money together and growing in this industry together. But it's like he don't see himself like that, and he sees himself as like, well, the world fucked me, so I'm gonna fuck the world. And I noticed through my mom that those people don't get anywhere. My mom's very lonely today because of isolating herself from a lot of people. And I just intend to not be like that. So I was very big on taking accountability. And I'm not perfect, bro. Like, I'm not by any means, but I'm big on trying to grow and move forward. It's not that I didn't consider taking money to play a song, but like I really respect the artist and the karma that I'm like, you know what? The money doesn't, it comes at a cost, and that cost I'm not willing to pay.
Right. Everything comes with a cost, man. Definitely.
You know, it's like, and sometimes you do what you got to do, and you pay the cost and you take an L. But at the same time, it's like, if you could take the high road, bro, even if people look at you crazy, at least you could hold your head high and sleep at night.
It's facts, man. So recently you made a post on IG talking about why you decided to leave the music industry, right?
Yeah.
And switch over to real estate. This was a really powerful message, and I felt that that's what got me to reach out to you for the interview, because there are things within the entertainment business in general that I don't think is spoken about enough. Can you share like what led you to post that?
Yeah, without saying too much, I mean, I have a friend that I started working on some stuff with, and we had discussed like doing it together. And it's like, let's say you really want to start like a lemonade stand, right? And I'm a guy that sells lemons, and you call me and you're like, "Hey, I want to start a lemonade stand." And I'm like, "That's cool, but I don't have time. I'm selling these lemons at a grocery store, and people are buying them, and I'm making money, and I'm not trying to get into that." This dude I did business with, he talked me into doing it. He was like, "Let's do this together. We'll do it together. We'll be a team. I want to add to your stuff. People want to hear what you got to say. Let's do something together." So I said, fuck it. I packed up all my shit. I went over, to hang out with them, whatever. We did what we had to do. And fast forward, this dude ended up just kind of running with it without me. Right. So it's like, let's say
Is this music business
it was
related?
music business related, but
Okay, got
let's
you.
say with this lemonade stand situation, let's say I'm like, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to drive an hour out. I'm going to pack up my whole grocery store. I'm going to bring the sugar. I'm going to bring the lemons, the cups, everything. We'll meet there. I'm going to help you get this started, bro. I know you want to do this. I know one day you want a grocery store. I've been doing this a long time. Let me help you out with this. And then it's like, I set everything up. They make a ton of money, and then they don't split it. And I'm like, damn, bro, I just put all this work. I spent a whole day helping you. And it's like, you just gonna run with this shit and not even communicate with me? Like, I didn't need to spend time. I spent time because you made it like we're gonna do something together that we both get a lot from. And instead, it's just like I did something for you that you got a lot from. So,
Wow.
and again, it's the same instance. It's not that this guy's a bad guy. He's one of the best guys I know. He's not a bad guy, but we live in a world that says like you don't have enough and you need more followers and more material shit, and it's just like I've learned that less is more. So it's like I think a lot of times it comes at a cost. And in this situation, I felt a ways because I'm like, bro, you're such a good dude. It's like you didn't have to do that. You could have just asked me to help you and I would have helped you. You didn't have to like manipulate the situation like you wanted to do something together to just do it on your own. You could have just asked me to help you and I would have been like, all right, bet. So it just made me think a lot about a lot of things. And I think so many people are like that, where it's like, they'll compromise in any which way to get the following. And I did it too, bro. I wanted to work at Hot 97 and around celebrities, because I'm like, the whole world, how cool would that be to be around celebrities and to be around, music and to work in that industry? People kill for that. But then I got into it and I'm like, wow, this is like, a lot of these celebrities, you don't even see them on the regular. And the ones that are cool, they're more just hanging out with their people. And it's like the people that are interactive are just mixy, and they have a lot of insecurities, and they compromise for it with their status or their title or their whatever, their position or their money. And I think, money is really fucked up in the sense of like there's a reason lottery winners always end up fucking their life up. And it's because all the money in the world isn't going to bring you happiness, man. You got to find that within yourself. And unless you're challenged to find that within yourself, a lot of time you're able to just lie to yourself and say, well, I don't feel happy, but I just bought a Bentley. So, it's like, I guess let me just go buy another Bentley. And like, and it's like,
You're always chasing the next high.
yeah. And it's so sad to see when really, really good people, are just
Fall
so
victim.
consumed by that shit. And that's why I posted
Right.
that, because it's like, bro, I do real estate now, and I can still listen to music every day. I still talk to a ton of artists. I'm still doing podcasts. Like, I'm so happy with what I get to do with music, and I make a shit ton of money doing real estate, and I'm happy with that. And it's like, I don't have an emotional connection to real estate, so it's my job, and it brings me joy that I'm able to do it and focus on the job and not make it personal. And I
Right.
think with music, like, obviously, bro, being on Hot 97 is like, people that looked at me like I was a loser when I was a kid are like, wow, he's the coolest guy in the world. And it's like really easy to go mess with a girl you probably shouldn't mess with because you can, but you don't vibe, and that's why I put that post up.
Yeah, because you were talking about clout and non-genuine friendships and just seeing people like really like lose themselves, right, in the pursuit of status, fame, and materialistic stuff. So when I saw that, I was like, damn, man, like it seemed like you almost like had like a spiritual awakening of sorts. Like, you know what I'm saying? But then
God got me.
What? But then I saw that you, like, your girl, she does Reiki and astrology, right? And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a psychic. I was like, damn, you can never do anything wrong. She's gonna know.
Yeah, she knows everything. She's very wise.
Women already are intuitive, but like if you like that's your shit, like that's what you trained on. I was
She
like,
hates
damn.
me. I tell her every day, I'm like, you hate my ass because I really don't do anything. I'm like, I'm out here in California, bro. If I took my hat off, you see, like, my hair is fucked up. I'm not out here trying to talk to girls, get attention. Like, I'm out here trying to get money because, I'm a lover boy and I got to make peace with that. It's like, at the end of the day, even with what she does, like, I'm not a spiritual guy by any means. I believe in karma, and it's just, that's because I've seen things that are unheard of, like winning tickets and shit. But I undeniably trust my gut and the process and everything that happens. Like, I got this job, bro. Just, I watched a TED talk and this woman says some inspiring stuff. I hit her up to do an interview. She's like, yo, you should meet my husband. I went and met a husband. He's like, yo, you should get into real estate. You'd be good at it. And I just, like, the same way, I didn't expect to message Rosenberg on MySpace. It just happened, and I think by living in like such a free way, by making space, by not consuming your mind, like, I know I'm saying a lot of shit all over the place, but to sum it up, like, I look at your mind as like a computer screen with 100 tabs open, right? And it's like, if there's 100 tabs open, you don't know what's happening on what screen. And I've gotten very good at just closing all the tabs and just dealing with one pop-up at a time. And if it pops up, I close it and on to the next one. If it's something I want to click, I click it. If it's not, I close it and keep it moving. Where I think a lot of people feel like, well, the more things that are here, the more I have. And again, less is more, bro. Less is more. I'm healthy. I have a beautiful girl. And I think that I live in a way where I have enough good karma that the universe keeps me protected and keeps delivering.
Yeah, because I found it interesting because, when you look at the culture of hip hop, right, we're all about excess. Like, like in hip, I mean, like in general, like just like, I guess in America, it's all about excess. But like hip hop culture is like, we really wear our wealth, and it's like, I don't know, just like the music really preaches that theme, right? I got the ice rolly, I got, what I'm saying, like I'm hopping out the Benz, right?
Yeah, yeah. Nah, it's America. It's beyond hip hop. Rappers fall victim to it the most, but that's America is pushing that heavy. And if you think about it, is America really that great? We're in mad debt. Everyone's overweight. Everyone's overindulged in
Right,
everything. It's like, and granted, I'm all for freedom, but like, are we free? Not really.
right,
Like we're
right.
maybe more free than like the next guy, but it's just like
Well, there's different ways of shackling people.
it's all fake and it's not productive. And there's so many people here that are paying for it. There's a whole community in Chicago that with death and pain is literally paying for this shit. You look at what happened in Detroit with all the car companies, bro, that this vibrant city and the car companies left and just everybody ended up fucked and like in like a depression. And it's just like, okay, so we're just going to exploit whoever we can forever so that a certain amount of people could be like, could feel good about themselves. They're never going to spend all the money. So it's like, what is the point? Just so that one guy could feel good about himself, 100 people got to suffer? Fuck that, bro. There's more than enough money here that everybody could be living good. Like, it's just I really like I'm so for the people, man, because I took the bus, bro. Like I waited for the bus and I appreciated when somebody gave me a ride, and I understand the dynamics out here that labels could really be putting together quality music. If they were willing to cut a little bit of profit, and it's not how it works, man. Everybody wants to make more money this year than they did last year, and it's like,
Right.
the world works like this. The world, you can't force it that way.
Yeah, America does a great job in making people feel desperate. Like,
Well said.
like this is,
Well said.
because you think about it, most people are living like paycheck to paycheck, or like the average American, they can't afford like an unexpected $500 cost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit will really fuck you up. That's why I always say like money is like everything until you get it, right? It's because money can provide you with that peace of mind where you ain't got to worry about where your next meal is going to come from or everything, but like it's not really going to buy you true happiness, because like you said before, it's like you're chasing that high.
Yeah. And it's like
I feel like in hip hop culture though, it's like because it comes from the streets, because a lot of people that are in it are coming from poverty. It's like you try to buy the things that you've been wanting, that you've been feeling that you went without, that you're like overcompensating to a certain
yeah,
ability, a certain amount, right? So, but then you start to realize that like when you minimize, you become more minimalistic, you're actually more happy. Like I feel like Kanye said it best when he said, things we buy to cover up what's inside, because
exactly.
they made us love their wealth. You know
And
what I
hate
mean? And hate
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yup, that's
Yeah.
facts. Facts.
Yeah, man. One thing I really appreciate about you, Mike, is that you just always stress about being yourself, and I think that with social media, everybody's always comparing themselves to other people. It's like this insecurity, this need for validation, this whole facade. Like people that like who they present themselves to be on social media is not really who they are,
Yeah.
like it's crazy, right? And you had spoken about people not looking at themselves, like really looking to analyze what's going on inside.
Bro, try eating only caviar for the next year and see how long you live, bro. It's like we need sugars, carbs, all kinds of shit to keep this going. You can't just look at like this group and be like, I just want to follow that. Like you have to really appreciate all the different flavors and everything that's out there. And the more that you're able to appreciate it, like I said, I really appreciate what Akademiks has done as far as building a social media presence. I appreciate that. My man's has went live every day for 2 hours and talking for 2-3 hours. It's not easy. Knowing which artists to book and bring on, it's not easy. You get what I'm saying? But if you're like, that says that you're a creative guy. That says that you're an ambitious guy. It says you're dedicated, you're hardworking. These are great qualities to have. So why use these great qualities to perpetuate such a negative agenda? You could be building something so good. You're bigger than all these radio stations. Fucking do what they do better. Lead by example. You know, and it's like you're still leading by example, but your example is shit, and you're leading people to do the same shit. It's
Yeah,
sad,
man.
man. It's sad. And it makes me really upset because those million eyes deserve to see these conversations. You know, those million eyes don't just need to hear about this person shot this person and fought this person, and like those eyes need to hear these conversations, so when their homie tries to holler at their girl, they don't kill him, but they have a conversation, and maybe both of them end up having families and they kids come together.
Don't you think that sometimes we're taught to communicate with violence first?
Yeah, but who's teaching us that, bro?
No, that's what I'm saying though. That's like something that's kind of like needs to be unlearned. Like I feel like especially as men, we're not taught to like really communicate like our feelings and being able to have real conversations. You know, not many of us are.
No, I agree, but I don't know. I feel like ultimately, if you asked everybody in the world, you know, do you prefer to have war or not have war? I'd bet the majority of them are like, you know what, we probably shouldn't fuck with that war shit.
Right.
You know, and it's like it's unfortunate that the few people that make those decisions are the ones that are not on the front lines. You know, the guy that tells you like, oh, you should fuck him up. That's not the guy that's fighting for you. You know, that's the guy that's videotaping you getting your ass kicked.
You know, switching gears, when you and I were growing up, it wasn't uncommon for there to be a 6-minute song, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
you got your favorite rapper spitting 3 to 4 verses. We're talking 16 bars. But with social media and anything being longer than 60 seconds or 240 characters, it's like the attention span has just gotten so short, especially for these young kids growing up in this era, bro. Like, so now we see a format more of like chorus, verse, chorus, song is done.
Yeah, nah, it's
like,
quick.
What is like your view on that?
The kids gonna be kids, man. I'm too old and I'm out of touch. I don't understand it, but it's like if kids like something that's more short and to the point, that's their flavor, man. I respect it. You know, it's like I enjoy like the longer storytelling stuff, but I do enjoy a good, you know, baseline, and like I could listen to Yeet all fucking day, and half the shit he talking about I don't even know what he's saying, but it's the energy, and that's again it goes back to just be yourself, man. If being yourself, if the way you express yourself is you're a Vine kid and you do it in 6 seconds, I could appreciate your video just as much as I appreciate a 2-hour podcast. Just be yourself.
Right.
You know, I don't set the tone for how long a song should be. And I think it's unfortunate that like platforms will cater to shit that's like timed a certain way because it retains attention. It's all bullshit, bro. Just be yourself and appreciate, like, you know, I love all the music. Even if I don't listen to it, it's like I respect the people that do. That's their generation. That's their vibe. My vibe is in this office all day. You know, my vibe is a little more laid back and chill. When I was taking the bus and running around the streets and I needed like a lot of action, my vibe was different. So to each his own,
Right.
you know, it's not for me to say what anybody should do as far as being creative.
But do you think that it's structured that way for like streaming because like the replay value might be more, so like you getting more money from the streams?
I'm sure there's some sort of game behind it. You know, I've heard for sure that like these platforms prefer to like retain attention, or like it counts as like another like a stream or another view. It's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate that people can't just create and be themselves. Like, bro, I'll be honest. Today I was trying to get CNBC on my TV to watch the fucking news. It's like I have to pay for one subscription for CNBC, one subscription for HBO, one for Netflix, one for the. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers can't just come together and we just all like share this content for like, and I pay. It's not even about like I pay less money. It's like if each of y'all is $2, can I just give you $100 and have all y'all in one place? Like, do we have to be divided? Do we have to Democrat, Republicans, Netflix, HBO Max, this platform, that platform? Everybody's just trying to fight for motherfuckers' attention, and then they get the attention and they don't know what to do with it because there's no substance in you. Like, you didn't learn shit fighting for attention. You learn shit living life. You know, it's just like, it's crazy out here, man. That's why I'm happy I'm tapped out in San Diego watching the ocean, because I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm burnt the fuck out. I'm about to go eat some lobster that Speaks is making. I've had enough, bro.
So one thing I saw you speak about, right, was that your heavy use of marijuana in the past.
Yeah.
Like at one time you were smoking an eighth a night, like just a night,
Just
like
the
3
eighth,
Dutches.
bro. Just
And
the eighth.
you said at that point you knew it was unhealthy, that you
Yeah.
weren't even really getting high anymore, that it was like a maintenance because like you would feel off if you weren't doing it, right? Are you still smoking or did you give it up?
Nah, I'm a big smoker. I smoked an eighth last night. I smoke a lot of weed, and and honestly, it's like, you see how I'm like, how we talking right now? I get really passionate about shit. It's like my blood starts going, my heart fucking, and then by the end of this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm drained. Like, so I smoke really to just because this is the shit that goes on in my head all the time, and that really is the only thing that calms it down. But like, I'm aware that it's not healthy. I know there's better ways to slow my mind down. I've been trying to do better with the gym. You know, there's no excuse for it. It's like, it's a bad habit that I have. And it's like, and it's the only vice that I've had a very hard time shaking. I'm going to go home and smoke right now, and I'm going to feel great and be relaxed. But I could own that it's not good for me. And I think that's the first step in like even some positive change, you know?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to shake, bro. Like honestly, it really is.
When the world is feeding you this shit all day, you're like, damn, I need something. But it's like, I shouldn't. I need to tune out.
Damn, if you going through an eighth a day though, that's real expensive.
Nah, bro, I went through a lot more than an eighth a day, bro. I've smoked like quarters. I've smoked a half in a day, bro. Me and Bruno be burning down. I smoke a lot of weed. I get really good prices though.
That's crazy. One thing that really stood out to me though was in the interview you said that this is the only way to not feel anything.
For me, yeah.
To smoke this much, like to numb yourself, right? Why do you feel like that?
Well, sometimes I feel like in the computer screen situation with the pop-ups, you know, once in a while it's like pop up, exit out, pop up, exit out. Sometimes it's just like pop up, 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 pop up. And then let's like, next thing you know, just like fuck. And it's like, I'm gonna just look at this tomorrow and go smoke. And then I'll come back tomorrow and there's twice as many fucking pop-ups. I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta X all these out and then I waste a day. So it's just like, it's hard to say, man. I mean, it definitely it makes you ignore reality, but I don't think ignoring reality is good. But at the same time, you know, reality these days has been crazy, bro. Like everywhere. It's like you noticed last year it was like interest rates, interest rates, interest rates, everything, recession. And now this year it's like migrants, migrants, migrants. And I'm like, being from media and all, like, it's hard to think there's not an agenda. And I think like I've gotten way better at just turning it off. Like I don't watch the news anymore. I'm not consuming, like I barely go on social media to scroll. But it's like, it's hard to avoid, man. It's everywhere. You know, people are fighting for your attention, for your money, for your time. And especially when I was in New York, bro, like everywhere. If I go to a parking meter here, I park for 2 hours for free. If I go to New York, I park for 10 minutes for $2. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's like they're getting you and you got to be on alert. But at the same time, it's like the more on alert you are, the more stressed you are. And the smoking is just an unhealthy way to cope with it. But it's like the most accessible quick fix that I found. And I know quick fixes ain't good. I'm still working through that. I say I have to quit all the time, and then I go home and I smoke and I like push it for tomorrow. And then it's just like, it's a bad habit. It's gonna catch up with me if I don't do something.
It's hard, bro. It's hard. I know. I definitely know. But you're right though. It's like I find peace in like focusing on what I have going on in my life versus like looking on the outside world, because everybody's always pushing something, right?
Yeah.
There's always something going on, and it becomes real overwhelming if you like really are buying into like, you know, some people that are constantly watching the news, like they some stress
All day.
like, you know what I mean?
Bro, and it's not just the news. It's like, look at TV right now. TV ain't fucking fun and all that shit. Bro, it's like this show, that show is drama, 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 drama. Like that does something to us. The same way staring at the ocean does something to us, staring at fucking two bitches fighting does something to us. You know?
No, and I tell people all the time, it's like your diet is more than just what you put in your body as far as what you eat and you drink. It's about what you're feeding your mind, right?
Well said.
So take a look at your social media timeline and see what you're really feeding your mind.
Yeah, not well said.
Because it really does do something to you, especially with these algorithms, because they're going to keep suggesting the same shit that you
All
like.
the bullshit.
And that's going to alter your view of the world.
The thing is, it's not even going to suggest what you like. It's going to suggest what you engage with. And you might just engage with shit
That's
because
true.
it's like, how many people go to Yelp to write about how great things are? You know, they go on there to shit on something. I'm going to Yelp you. Like, it's, you get what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what the platform is soliciting. It's not soliciting like, come on here and talk about how great your day was and other people are going to respond. So it's like, you're getting caught in a trap. You know?
All right, man. I know you're a big Queens guy, and I got a bone to pick with you, okay?
What up?
Because I saw an interview where you was like disrespecting my guy 50.
What? What did I say about 50? I fuck with 50.
Wait. I know you say you love Power of a Dollar, Get Rich, and The Massacre, right?
Yeah.
But the albums after that, they did fall off. And I think I would agree with you, but we have to remember the G Unit albums,
that don't
right?
count.
All these different projects that he was on and doing. So I feel like his whole discography would be so much longer. His run would have been longer if he was just a solo artist, but he was giving it to everybody.
Yeah,
bro.
nah. And I respect 50 for that. And he did fall off with his music, and Banks and Yayo and all them guys would carry him on they backs with that whole G Unit shit. 50 had it as a solo artist, and I'm glad he put his friends on because I really respect that. And I respect that 50 pivoted into movies because he's passionate about it. But somewhere along the way, he lost that passion for music. The same way I feel like I kind of have. And it's just like, I'm going to call it what it is, bro. It'd be like if I was still trying to do radio. If I was like, tune into my show on my website where I play the hottest music in the world. Like, you'd be like, bro, what the fuck is up with this guy? He's like, it's like you have to know the time and the place, and you got to respect where you're at in your life, and you got to trust the timing of your life. And I think 50 reached a little bit longer with music than he had to, and I think he could have pivoted to movies earlier. And I'd be very curious to get his thoughts on that, you know? But as a fan, I think the music kind of started slouching when, you know, after like the whole G Unit project, anything he was doing was kind of like, eh.
I feel like he focused too much on the song structure. Like, okay, as long as I got this melodic hook, I could kind of, because, you know, before his flow was ridiculous, right? And he could really write bars, but after that, he was just a little slacking on it.
Yeah.
You know, as long as the hook was catchy, he was a little slacking on the verse, and you was like, come on, 50.
That's like, but it's like if Immortal Technique tried to start putting out 2-minute songs because that's what's in. You know, I think 50 got caught a little bit in that trap, and he pulled himself out of it with a clean pivot. But I think like as the music, if he had a while where nothing was happening. You know, like people forget, like he might have been around, but like there was a while where 50 went from like 50 Cent to like Kanye came and the music changed a lot. And like the 50 tidal wave came and went. And it was a while before he popped back up as like this major, well-respected guy. You know, he was gone for a couple years doing random music and random shit.
But you know, like that G Unit wave was like unlike anything that we ever saw, just because of how crazy it was. Like talking about the clothes, the sneakers, the video games, right? I mean, the movies, just like all this shit. It was so much. I think that people really just got tired of it, and they were ready for something new, because he had like a solid 2002, 2007, like that span, right? But I think that he came at the right time when people was making soft music like Ja Rule, and they needed something hardcore. And then after him doing all the shoot 'em ups, it's like after that it was like, we need something different. And I think that gave Kanye the perfect time to really take over.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I also think like, you know, when it comes to 50, man, it's like, oh man, I don't even know. I feel like from that 2002 to 2007, he was dropping mixtapes. Like as a fan, you had something tangible that you could hold in your hand that was like yours, that was like a possession that was close to you. You know, after that 50 era, everything became streaming, and it's like you don't have the same tie to like your laptop has so much shit in it. You know what I mean? But like your CDs, like you lose a CD, you lost all that music. you know, you lose a laptop, you go buy another laptop and you just sync it from the cloud. So it's like you don't really have to work to get the music. You don't have to really go far to find it. It's like when you take away the hunt, it's like, you know, the food don't taste as good.
I know exactly what you're talking about because back in the day, it's like you were so excited about going to the store. Yo, I'm going to the store, my man,
It was
picking
a
up the
thing.
CD. I'm opening it up. I'm putting it in. I'm reading the notes of who was on this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who was a part of the production. All of that. Having it in your hand, something tangible, meant so much more. Like the
Yeah.
thrill of going out to do it, right? Like you said. But like now it's just like download.
And
Like,
I'm gonna
that's
download
it.
this 2-minute song. I'm gonna listen to it 6 times, then I'm gonna download another 2-minute song. Where it's like back in
Yeah.
the day, it's like, no, I'm gonna get on the bus, I'm gonna go to the Ave, I'm gonna find the guy that got the 50 CD. We're gonna have a conversation about some fucking food or some other shit. I'm gonna get on this bus, I'm gonna listen to these 12 songs 20 times, and I'm gonna put this CD in like a thing where I'm collecting other CDs and building something. You know, it's a different world, man. You know, because I think that, you know, Migos had a really big tidal wave. I think YSL's had a big tidal wave. Drake clearly has had this big effect. Like, I think there's a lot of people, but I think 50 it hit so close to home because it was like the time and place of like, wow, this guy is like, it's like something I could really feel like is personal to me. This is like speaking to my soul. You know, I think Jordan did it the same way with the sneakers. Is like, you know, when there's so many different kind of Jordans, but it's like people don't love Jordan because of every color wave. People love Jordan because they remember their mom bringing them to the sneaker store, trying them shits on, saving the money for it. It's like that's what you're buying, that feeling. You're not buying some fucking cheap ass Chinese leather. You know what I'm saying?
I want to talk to you about Eminem. Let's start with the Benzino versus Eminem situation right now. What you think about that?
I don't even know what's happening. I'm so tuned out, and they've been fighting for so long that it's whatever. I don't even care. I'll be honest. Eminem lost my attention after he dropped that fucking album with Space Cowboy on it, like years ago, like the Relapse or whatever. It's
The recovery
yeah, and
after,
it's
yeah.
not that he's not talented. It's just like I outgrew the bars. You know, I'm into the more saucy shit now. Like, so it's like I'd rather listen to Yeet than Eminem right now. But I respect his talent. And I think him and Benzino are old as fuck, and they need to enjoy their celebrity and their life and not. I don't know what the fuck they beefing about. Is like why, bro? They're like you guys are too old for this rap beef. Go fucking rent a boat and go drink or something. I don't know.
That's why people were surprised because there was like, because Eminem on Lyrical Lemonade's new record, right? He came out and he dissed Benzino and it came out of nowhere. It was like, bro, you ain't talked about him in like 20 years. Like, why did you all of a sudden choose now to go after him?
Because
You
my
know?
man's is famous and in his crib and not talking to everybody all day, every day, and has no idea. Like, that's what I'm saying, man. Is like, I got so lucky not being in radio. If they didn't fire me, I'd be there right now pressing buttons, hating my life. You know, I really feel like sometimes this fame is a curse. And Eminem, at least I don't know the guy at all. I've never met him, you know, but I could say this as a fan. I feel like he was a kid that really grew up loving hip hop and music. And, you know, he did his thing. He's gotten all these records, everything. He's very well respected. But at the same time, music took him out of the community that he grew up in. And he's very disconnected from a lot of shit right now. And he's that same old school hip hop head that he was. He's, you know, isn't somebody that goes to a ton of events and doesn't mix and doesn't interact with a lot of people. And I just think he's out of touch.
That's what Benzino was saying. He was saying that like you're not a part of the culture, like because you don't go to things, like you don't participate.
He can't go to things though, you know, and it's like it's unfortunate he can't, because I bet there's plenty of things M wants to pop up to that he can't, or if he goes to things he probably goes undercover. Like, he seems like a much more sincere dude from like just the music and all. Like, he doesn't seem like somebody who's making music to stay relevant. Like, I just think he's a
Right.
natural talent that, you know, is very appreciated for the shit that he did and is very underappreciated for the shit that he does. And, you know, Benzino, I don't know what to say about Benzino. That man has just always been fucking messy. You know, I don't.
You don't like Benzino?
I like everybody. I fuck with everybody. I like Benzino. I like Akademiks. I'm entertained by
Right.
all of it. You know,
Got you. Okay.
I'm entertained by all of it. For me, I'm just like, bro, it's like, this is crazy. It's like it's like watching a guy in the street just punching himself in the face. You're like, what are you doing, bro? You don't have to be doing all this shit. Like Benzino, like I don't know, and like to each his own. Every man could be the man that they want to be. Me, I want to be a good husband, a good father, a good, brother, a good friend. I don't want to be somebody that's like jealous of people and fucking critical of people and hard on people and like insecure and so many like it's I don't know, man. If Benzino's happy, I'm happy for him. But I'd really be surprised if that man was happy. He seems like he up at night mad at Eminem, and it makes me sad that somebody as talented as Eminem would be up at night mad at Benzino. And I think that's the toxic shit the industry does, and I'm happy I'm not part of it.
Yeah, because Coi Leray was saying that, yo, I am not.
Coi lost in the sauce too. I love Coi, but Coi lost in that same sauce, man. She got to learn too, bro. And I fuck with Coi. I love Coi. As a person, she's always been mad nice to me, but I could see that shit's consuming her. And I guarantee you, and I would say this to Coi, don't let this shit not like ruin your life and make you miserable, bro. You're a talented girl, and a lot of people respect and love you. Don't just do shit because you think you got to be doing it to prove a point to your dad. Like, fuck your dad, bro. Just live your life. That's how I feel about Coi, honestly.
Yeah, because she was saying, like, I'm not going to involve myself in 20-year-old beef between two grown men.
But you just did by saying that. So it's like, what do you, like, you get what I'm saying?
Well, because Eminem dissed her on the song. That's why, like, she felt the need to come out and say it. But I get what you're saying.
But it's like the same way my boy fucking hollering at Shorty is like, come out and say this shit that's true. It's like, the truth is like, yo, why are you using me to go after my dad? You guys are grown men. I'm a talented young woman making music. I have a lot of supporters that fuck with me. You guys need to grow up. Like, I would have so much respect and admiration for Coi if that's the shit that her followers got to see, instead of just like, it's 20-year-old beef. I'm not getting involved in it. Like, you just got involved with it like that.
Yeah.
Say why are you not getting involved with it, Coi? Why? That's what I would ask, but that's why I don't have a show anymore.
Do you think that Eminem's music hasn't aged well, though? Like the first 3 albums, how it was more of like dissing the pop stars and all that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know with Eminem, bro. I feel like, again, I appreciate a lot of the music. It's, I'll put it this way, like even with K-Slay, right? Like I was never into the street music crazy. Like it wasn't my thing after like the G-Unit era. Like it wasn't my thing. I was into like Chuck Chill Out would call it space music. But it's like Chuck Chill Out fucked with me. Like, yo, you listen to space music, but you a cool guy. It's same with Eminem, bro. It's like I like certain songs were for me, certain songs weren't. Those certain songs that weren't for me were for somebody else. It's not for me. I'm sure Eminem still has plenty of fans that love his newest shit. It's just in my world, I outgrew it and I moved on to something else.
Right.
That relationship's not there for me, but I'm sure it's there for someone else. And I wish them the best.
All right, Mike. I just want to thank you for your time, man. Is there anything else you want to say before we go ahead and wrap it up?
Nah, I really appreciate your time, bro. Seriously. And like, I respect a lot that you out here, you doing this, that you're organized, that you have the right equipment, that like, I really, really appreciate the work that goes into this, because for anybody watching this, just understand that this man is going to spend time exporting this, clipping this up, speaking with whoever he works with to try and get shit done. If he's not doing it 100% on his own, I'm sure and there's no budget, and he just spent 2 hours and 45 minutes, 46 minutes of his time talking to somebody that's not getting him a ton of clicks. But the knowledge that, is coming from this because of his effort and his initiative, could really hopefully change somebody's lives. And I'm sure that's why you do it. And it hopefully it makes it worthwhile. So if you're watching this, if you learn something, really give this man his praise, because you wouldn't have learned that thing if he didn't make the effort that he's making. And it's a lot of effort for you to get that reward, because he's not getting a reward for this.
Thanks, Mike, man. I appreciate you.
Love, brother. Always.